this. We got a guy here in Florida, Big Fat Nate. Well, and it sounds like I'm actually having an affair with food outside of the business, and it's kind of that way. Like when I learned about charitable giving in real estate 3 years ago, December 2019, um, I was like, man, this is what I was put on this earth for. I took all those hours of real estate training and scripting and role playing and door knocking and calling expireds and for sale by owners and competing for listings. And, I shared that with you because it was all this real estate and then all the experience in helping fundraisers for nonprofits. It was the way that I built my business. It was my way of giving back. All of that that had me see this in a different way, apparently, than anyone had in 100 years, because this has been around for 100 years. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get into the presentation. I want to encourage you all. Put me, first of all, on the screen. If your first name is on there, you can go up in the top corner of your Zoom screen. There's three little dots. And you can rename with your last name. Let people know who you are. This is about stepping up, standing out, being seen, and being heard as a contribution to the world. And this is a great platform for you to meet each other, to mingle. We want to know what marketplace you're in. Can't send you a referral if we don't know where you are. Let us know. Are you a nonprofit? Are you a realtor? Are you a financial advisor? Are you a fundraiser? Are you just kind of like curious? What has this crazy woman been talking about online all these years? Let us know who you are. We want to get to know you. So I'm going to share my screen and share with you what we're going to be all up to today. I'll give you a little overview of what you can expect. We were just playing with some videos before everybody got here, so let me just get rid of Bruce. And come on over here. So friends, charitable real estate masterclass. We are going on 3 years now, and the masterclass continues to grow. We continue to grow. We've been building this airplane right in the air the whole time. And why? Because nonprofits need us. Realtors deserve to have a niche that makes them completely unique from anyone around them. Donors, property owners are looking for ways to get tax deductions, and they want to leave legacy. Listen, these people with multiple properties are going to liquidate them one know. You don't know what you don't know. Keep in mind, in between each section, we'll have a little bit of a bio break. We'll have a Q&A. We'll play a case study that you can watch or listen to while you go get a coffee, what have you. Section 1, what the heck is this? Keep in mind, in this concept, each section will have a little bit of a bio break. Who is the specialized nonprofit? Who are the real agents of change? Who is this Cammie C.E. Baker? It's important for us to understand
what Rachel
who it
said,
is that is bringing us
Mhm.
this information.
that they can't just replace that one button, they have to replace all of it. They're gonna probably replace up to here, because this is where the new floor starts.
Mhm.
In section number 1, we're going to go through the first 2 ways. Section number 2, we're going to get into.
I'm trying to keep the volume down so you don't have to hear her voice.
The way that you're here to learn about. The first 2 ways you could figure out on your own, but it's the 3rd way that I guarantee you no one in your marketplace knows about. Now, by 2025, that won't be the case. The goal is we are on trajectory to make sure that charitable real estate specialists are in every state and every major marketplace by 2025. So this is going to be a conversation that you're seeing at the board, that they're talking about at the chambers, etc. But right now, first movers advantage. Section 3, let's talk about the details of the benefits. Why this is such a big deal for the nonprofits, for the donors, and for all the advisors. Number 4, we're going to have a little bit more of a breakdown about our financial advisor friends and donor advised funds. The first year of this class, we did not have this section, but it's so important that we all understand why this benefits the key players. Because when 65% of donations of real estate come from financial advisors, and when their favorite nonprofit is a donor advised fund, it makes sense for you to know what that is and why that is. Section 5, what does qualify as a gift of real estate? What are the documents that you might need to know about? And in section 5, we go through a comparison. A $4.5 million property, traditional sale versus donation. Side by side, this is why the donors do what they do. So, very important section. We get into the weeds there. Make sure you have some coffee for that one. And then section number 6, you're going to hear us use words like charitable real estate specialist, charitable real estate champion. You'll hear us talk about the community foundation collaboration that starts on Thursday this week. So by the time we get to section 6, it'll be time for you to figure out, hey, do I just want to be a specialist and have more knowledge than people in my marketplace? Or do I want to be a champion and do something with that knowledge? And do I want to elevate and see if I qualify to be a part of the community foundation collaboration and have warm introductions to the best of the best in that industry? So, why are you here? And before I actually get into talking about why we think you're here, I'm actually going to stop sharing. I'd like to hear from 2 of you that we haven't heard from before. Tell us, why are you here? What brings you to spend 3 hours on this Zoom with us today? Ooh, Kathy Davis Morgan, good to see you again. Haven't seen you in a while. Heike, good to see you back, my friend. Kathy, what's going on, girl? What brings you back?
I'm just trying to get back into it and relearn what I learned a while ago. Just getting that vibe back, that mojo.
Yeah. Well, welcome. We've seen several people in the last couple of master classes that came on a year and a half ago. Life got in the way. We all got kind of fat and happy with our business and real estate. And now maybe it's time to consider, how can I get more listings? And what can I do for my community? Good to have you here. Who else would like to say hello? Jason?
Yes, hi. My name is Jason Brown. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty. I'm in Pittsburgh, PA. I spoke to another realtor about this probably last week, and I was pretty intrigued by it because like many here, I've never heard about this before. So I'm really here really just to see what it's all about, and and how it can benefit what I'm doing. I'm retired military, also in the Gulf War, and now one of the things that I want to do is I want to work with military veterans, military communities, military charities, institutions, and see how this program may help. Some of the things in the Pittsburgh area.
Amen. Now you met Barbara. She mentioned your name to me a couple of days ago, and you're also part of the military network for EXP nationwide, right?
That's correct.
Well, you and Alan are definitely going to need to have a side conversation. He's really our nonprofit liaison, and he loves talking military and faith and lots of other things. So welcome, Jason.
Appreciate it.
EXP has been one of our favorite communities to collaborate with because of the entrepreneurial spirit and because of the fact that EXP agents in general are much more, they want to talk to other realtors. They want to spread the word. They're just a different breed, and we just appreciate you being here. All right, guys, I'm going to jump back into the presentation. I just want to acknowledge Dan Platt, the church guy. Dan, glad to have you here as well. Olympia, I know you're from California and you are supporting. Yeah, you want to say hello, Dan?
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Great to be here. I love what I'm learning from Cammie and looking forward to collaboration.
Fabulous. And I'm looking forward to getting your video. Dan and our group are putting together some really fun videos to send to the Christ-centered leaders of the 49,000 churches that he has been working with and playing with for many years. And let's get that video finished this week, Dan, because with the CFC coming up, we're going to be so busy with other things. We just need to get that done, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Okay, guys, let me get back over to the presentation. Okay, Certified Charitable Real Estate Specialist, CCRES. This is the certification that we created. It's nationwide. It has been trademarked. You do get the logos and the emblems to use on your business cards, etc. We also have a CE course in Florida to give you 3 credit hours for a similar class. But don't be so worried about that if you're in another state. Yeah, it'll be in your state in the next 5 years. But this isn't about getting 3 hours of credit. This is about bringing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to the communities you love and frankly getting paid to do it. So you're going to be strengthening relationships because of this. This is a sophisticated, unique conversation that others in your marketplace are not having. Even CPAs, real estate attorneys, wealth managers, all these folks who know that a gift of real estate is a good tax deduction. What they don't know is how to implement this strategy with their clients that is risk-free and no money out of pocket for them. So this strengthens relationships with all those advisors. You're going to gain access to more high net worth people, to people that have.
Is her last name Zerbel?
Yeah.
money out of your pocket, but by putting money into your pocket. So you're going to have questions. We want you to know, be bold, raise your hand, unmute yourself. We also want you to know that most of your questions are going to be answered because we've been doing this for so long. We basically know the questions that you need answered, and it probably will get answered over this 2.5, 3 hours. But feel free to pipe up during the between sections, especially ask any question, because if it's a question for you, somebody else has that question too, and they're not bold enough to raise their hand. So do it for them. You know, everybody here, if I asked you individually why you're here, you'd say, because I want to help people. I know you're that way. That's who we attract. We attract people who want to help people. So start helping people today by asking questions. And as I mentioned, we will have those Q&As at the end of each section. Section 1. Let's get right down to business. What are the concepts and the collaborators? What are the first 2 ways that a donor can help a nonprofit from the proceeds of real estate? So, going to jump right in and share with you the first way. And the first way is the way that so many people say to us, well, Cami, why doesn't the donor just go sell their property and give the proceeds to the nonprofit they love? Well, because when that happens, Uncle Sam is going to receive the most. So of the 3 ways that we talk about today, if you love the government and you just want to make sure that they get as much tax money as possible, do it this way. But if you want the donor to get the most tax advantages, you don't want to do it this way. So I'm going to give you a scenario, and we're going to use this scenario for the whole class today. So let's say that Dan Klatt, and there's 750 churches in Las Vegas. Let's say one of those churches has someone who loves them and wants to donate real estate. And what they have is $1 million condo. It's appraised for $1 million. It's in Sarasota, Florida. And it's got a $200,000 mortgage on it. And the donor says, I love my church that much. I'd like to get $200,000 cash back in my pocket. I want to get some life insurance for little Billy and do some nice things for the wife. So here's our scenario. Appraised for $1 million, $200,000 mortgage, and donor wants $200,000 cash. So in this first way that we're talking about, if the donor were to sell that property and then send the money to the church in Vegas, they would pay taxes that they wouldn't pay if it had been donated properly. They are going to get the least amount of tax benefits. They are going to send the least amount to that church in Vegas. This is the old-fashioned, the outdated, and frankly, it's lazy. It's lazy because it's just the easiest way for the nonprofit to get this off their plate. Just go sell it, Bob, and give us some money afterwards. It's the worst way for everyone involved. Now, there's a second way. And the second way is something you might could imagine. So let's say that this donor tells the church in Vegas, hey, I want to give you this property. Well, here's why this is the hardest way. The nonprofit, keep it in mind with our scenario, the nonprofit would be required to pay off that $200,000 mortgage. They would be required to give that $200,000 cash to the donor, because remember, when a property, in order for this donor to get the tax advantages of donating it to a nonprofit, that means it's got to exchange hands. Title's got to transfer to get the tax deduction. That's why the mortgage and the cash would need to be paid off first, because you can't transfer title to a property that has liens. So if that donor wanted to give any of this to another homeless shelter, veteran group, university, that church in Vegas would also have to do all the work and then grant some of the money to another nonprofit. That's not happening. That church would be required for the maintenance and the upkeep. Now we're talking about a condo in Florida. What if a hurricane comes through and devastates it? Who's going to put their name on the HOA, etc.? So the fact of the matter is, my friends, they don't have the time, talent, and treasure. They don't have the experts on their board. They don't have the months and months it would take for them to figure this out, especially across the country. And even if Dan Klatt and Cammie Baker and everyone on here sits on their board as the advisors, what they don't have is that $400,000 to buy that property. Now they're going to get over $500,000 in equity on the back end, but do they have $400,000 up front? Fact is, 99.9% of nonprofits won't do that. It is the hardest way. And this is one of the reasons why you've never heard of this before. Because nonprofits are not only not asking for real estate, they are turning it down.
What?
So those are the two ways that you could have thought of, that others might think of. So let's learn why. Real estate owners are wanting, they're trying, they're searching for ways to donate real estate. They just are. And you'll learn how we know that today. You're going to learn the reasons that those 99.9% of nonprofits are turning down that real estate. I mean, I just made a pretty good case for you, but there's a lot of reasons. And we're going to teach you how and why the specialists and the champions and the people in our group are able to help all of the nonprofits to get funded risk-free, no money out of pocket. So in order to do that, we need to create a foundation. Before we can build this big, beautiful house, we got to have a foundation, a little bit of foundational knowledge, so that as we use words moving forward, they make sense to you. So let's talk about the connection between philanthropy, real estate, and the U.S. Tax code, the IRS tax code that gives the deduction. So philanthropy. People will say to us, well, I'm not a philanthropist, I'm no Bill Gates. But philanthropy is simply the love of mankind and generosity in all its forms, giving of time, talent, and treasure. Friends, the fact that you're here right this red hot minute tells me you're a philanthropist, because you are investing your time to learn how you can leverage your talent to help bring in treasure for those nonprofits that you love. So philanthropy, we're all philanthropists here. 501c3. There are many different designations in the IRS tax code, many different types of nonprofits. A nonprofit is simply someone or an organization that doesn't pay federal income or federal taxes to the government. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it gives a tax deduction. Not all of them do. But a 501c3 does. So when people donate to a 501c3 or a church, which is a 508, when they donate to these entities, there is a tax deduction. And the tax deduction was introduced in 1917. And that's why you hear us say this has been possible for over 100 years. So often people will say, well, how does it work in Washington State or Arkansas, or can I do it in California, or I need to talk to my attorney or CPA about New York? Friends, this is not a state thing. This is a U.S. tax code, tax deduction, and it works the same in all states. And this incentive was put in place to help all people, whether wealthy or not, to give to these 501c3s. So the charitable gifting of real estate itself is a gift of real estate to a qualified 501c3. So that's why we need some foundation about what is a 501c3. And it provides the nonprofit an asset it can sell to fund its programs. Now, let me just throw in the caveat. Yes, we do hear about nonprofits who have real estate donated that they keep, that they manage and maintain and move into. We hear about universities and churches that a neighbor will donate a house that's adjacent and now they use it for student housing, etc. But when we are opening the minds and bringing in the ability to benefit from real estate anywhere in the country and anywhere in the world, sure, some real estate is donated to move into and manage, but now it can be donated from anywhere to get the funding. Matter of fact, just last week, there was a building in St. Paul, Minnesota, 8-story, 100,000 square foot building that was donated to the Salvation Army to help with the homeless issue. I don't know if they're creating housing or what have you, but that's a building that they are going to keep. But we're talking about properties in general that can be sold. So it entitles the donor to a tax deduction. Not only do they avoid capital gains, not only do they avoid the recapture tax, but they can write the whole appraised value as the basis for their tax deduction. So our scenario of $1 million condo, if $200,000 is being paid off for a mortgage and $200,000 is being given to the donor, there's $400,000 there that is going to have tax consequences. But it's the appraised value that still gives them more benefit than if they sold it on their own. Now, the donor avoids that capital gains, as we talked about. So in theory, it sounds simple enough. There are donors all over this country, all over the world, that want to help their nonprofits. They might be cash conservative, but property rich. And it sounds simple enough, but here's the problem. It is the risk to the nonprofits that is stopping gifts of real estate in its tracks for these reasons. No expertise or dedicated real estate team. Now, we're going to be showing you shortly about a dozen logos of nonprofits that do accept gifts of real estate. And they do have a team. But, even if 200 or 500 nonprofits do take real estate, there's 1.5 million. So that's why it's way less than half of a percent. Don't have the expertise. Now, even if they do have the expertise, as I mentioned, me, you, they, and the whole group here sit in as advisors, but it's the capital, it's the money, it's that holding cost that is keeping them from receiving this funding. Real estate diverts their attention. Our buddy Jim Wooten, who wrote The Real Estate Gift, he loved learning this phrase, which I was taught. Mission drift. Drifting off the mission, kind of like a squirrel. Hey, next shiny bright object. If a nonprofit is trying to figure out real estate from across the country, and trying to find someone to give them $400,000 so that they can take on $1 million piece of property and get $500,000 on the back end, it's just taking them off their mission. It's a poor use of time when we go about the third way. Now, some of them have heard of or had bad experiences. They'll say things like, we did take a piece of real estate 10 years ago. We'll never do that again. Some will accept real estate on a limited basis. So a lot of our community foundation friends will say, yeah, we take real estate. But if you ask another question or two, you'll find out that they've taken maybe one piece in 3 years. And the reason for that is if you ask them another question, well, what are the criteria? Well, they'll only take it if it's mortgage free. And they'll only take it if it's vacant. And they'll only take it if it's in the city limits. And they'll only take it if. In other words, it's so restricted that they could, don't really want to. And the majority of nonprofits have it written right in their bylaws. We don't take non-cash assets, especially not real estate. No, they do have a nice day. We just don't do it. And overall, the reason that 99.9% of nonprofits are missing out on this funding is because not only is it too risky, it's just not what you're going to learn today. mentioned 99.9% don't take real estate. But here's something. And as I bring these up, I just want you to know why we're sharing them. You might say, well, Kim, if you want to teach us how you do it, why would you be showing us how other people do it, or other people that do it? And the fact of the matter is, I hope you do your due diligence. I hope you start Googling and looking and seeing who donates real estate. How does all this work? Because when you do, you're going to find all these, just like I do. Every month or so, I'll sit down with a cup of coffee and just go take a peek and see who else is now taking real estate. And the reason this is exciting is because these nonprofits have figured out, instead of 3% cash, people, well, the people have real estate. So little by little, organizations are figuring this out. And if your donor from your church is Googling, kids takes real estate. And the donor can't say if the donor is not a nonprofit. Outside doors, that's who you're going to use. Why not let people benefit from gifts real estate? This is why the real agency change were created. Because all of those 99.9% don't know how to do this. And because we believe that your donor that the property choose who gets the proceeds. How to be proactive versus reactive. We hear all the time, well, our church has never been offered in real estate. If it ever limited in a scarcity mindset and wait to react in 3 years if somebody ever offers it. No, be proactive, be bold and proud. Hey, not only will we accept your real estate, we're encouraging you to donate real estate to help our community. So let me share with you the story of what brings us here today. So I became a real estate agent when I was newly sober, single mother, moved to a part of the country where I knew no one. What better thing to do than get a real estate license? Actually, I was hired by a gentleman who did 125 real estate transactions a year on average. He was famous for, let me plug up my computer. It fell out. He was famous for doing 125 deals a year and calling expireds and for sale by owners, and he needed a listing coordinator. So that's how I was given the blessing of being taught about listing real estate. And when I got my real estate license, one of the reasons I became a realtor was because of my daughter. I wanted to be more present in her life. I wanted to set my own hours. I wanted to be that mom going on the field trips. And I wanted her to be able to come with me and do community events and just be together, right? So this is me about 20 years ago. And I first got started with RE/MAX, and I brought the hot air balloon to a couple of events. I had a lot of fun we started doing parades and car shows, to me meeting thousands of people and people with cars and having them come. Still there to this day. And we gave money to Ronald McDonald House, Make-A-Wish Foundation, a local child with cancer, a firefighter who had fallen in the line of duty. So these car shows went on for 7 years, and they taught me that social responsibility is so important, because even when people weren't interested in real estate or Remax or even Cami, they loved that we were doing something for the community. So I became known for doing these cause marketing campaigns, marketing our business with a cause in mind, bringing for-profit and nonprofit together to make money, making a difference. And I was starting to get hired by people to help them do this. Karen is the president, or was the president, of the Board of Realtors up in New England. And we did a diaper drive to help with women who are coming off opioids and having babies. We created Realtors for Recovery together. I helped this client doing a toy drive for a nonprofit at her office. The Real Estate Investor Group of Jacksonville wanted me to fly down and teach them how to do social responsibility. And I said, only if I can practice what I preach. So we did a coat drive. So I was finding that it made so much sense to me that if I wanted to meet and mingle and strategize and get in front of the right people for my business, it made sense to bring social responsibility in, because now I can make money and make a difference. I can make a difference that results in business development. And I was meeting all these people who didn't know how to do that. They wanted to be philanthropic, but they were waiting until they were rich. They wanted to do more for their business with philanthropy, but they just didn't know how it worked. So I had a real estate brokerage hire me to do something for Habitat for Humanity. This was Realtors for Recovery, another event that we did. We did coat drives. For goodness sake, it was in Boston. It was freezing up there. So we did coat drives and sock drives and shoe drives. We helped animals, this animal rescue that we brought awareness to. We did poker runs and things for veterans. So this is all to say that even though charitable gifting of real estate, we just learned about 3 years ago, but what it did was it just took what I was already doing, cause marketing, and all of the fundraisers, all the raffles and ticket sales and galas and bake sales and bra drives and all the things we did. When I learned about charitable real estate, I thought, there's 2 million realtors in this country. I know at least 1% of us are just like me, and they're going to want to help their community. And they're probably tired of going to 14 different golf tournaments a year too. I'll bet they want to bring this to their community. So that's what we did. We started to put all the pieces together. We created the Charitable Real Estate Masterclass and the certification about us in 2001. We had the Business Observer last year when we launched the book. We went to a nonprofit and they came and wrote a story about it. And ultimately, friends, what this has turned into is, yeah, you can do fundraisers, but how about just getting funded? How about just telling people that you can benefit from gifts of real estate? We are now traveling the country in our RV. We're in Florida, specifically because 10% of realtors are here, 10% of nonprofits are here. We have the CE course and can give 3 hours credit to real estate agents here. But we are doing this with people all over the country and have been for 2.5 years. List the Legacy Listing Month is coming up in April. You can promote that. There's so much that can be done. It's social media and emails and phone calls and when you go to your, Chamber of Commerce and your BNI, how can you stand out? You can be the one that says, I'm planting my flag. I want to bring $5 million to the community this year. And here's how we're doing it. So the book, the List the Legacy listing campaign, the book signings, the programs we're doing, this all came from many, many years of working with real estate companies, financial professionals, Main Street USA businesses, and nonprofits, large and small. And so that's what brings us to this win-win-win that we have stumbled upon that you're here for today. So this is an example of one of the houses, or two families actually, that was donated. Once again, nice building, had tenants in it, money maker. It was donated. Okay, so that the nonprofit could get its piece of the 1.7 million. This is one of our buddies, Michael DeShavi. When I learned about 3 years ago, I had known Michael for 12, 15 years. I coached him in real estate. We were in business together, network marketing. And I reached out to him. I said, Michael, we don't have to do all the begging and bake sales and barbecues and ballroom functions, man. We can let people know charitable real estate is a better way. And he just loves it. So that's the end of section 1. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Happy to answer a question or two. And I'm going to go find a video. As a matter of fact, I've already pulled it up. So anybody have a question before I share a case study? All right, I'm going to share the screen and go show you the first case study. Now, we have this story about the Berkeley Humane Society, and we're going to tell this story through this whole day today. There are 2 videos that tell you the beginning of the story and the rest of the story. So hang tight, and here's the first one. Welcome to another episode of the Real Agents of Change, our success stories with our favorite specialized nonprofit, Realty Gift Fund. Bruce, what is the story for today?
Well, we are in the new year, Cami, so let's talk about what happens at the end of the year in the nonprofit world when you have millions of donors who are looking to make that final donation so that they can get their tax deductions for that particular year. The one that comes to mind, Jay and I were sitting on his sofa watching a football game on a Sunday afternoon, and I took a call from the Berkeley Humane Society. And they said, look, we just took a call last week from a donor who has 12 residential lots they would like to donate to us, but the donation has to close this year. This was like December 10th, whatever that Sunday was when we were watching NFL playoffs. We did get it done. By December 31st, we did close in the Oakland area on 12 actually quite unique and difficult residential lots, difficult to develop. And
now, when you say close, Bruce, as you taught me, there are 2 steps. There's the charitable gift and then the charitable funding.
Right.
So to be clear, you closed by acquiring the property from the donor to give that donor the tax deduction they needed, but the property didn't actually close to the end user yet. Is that what you mean?
Well, correct. We now own these. Actually, it's 13 lots. We found out at the last minute that there was a 13th one hanging out there. So we closed on the donation, which gave the donor the tax deduction they were looking for in 2021. We now own these lots, and we are underway with looking for buyers who might bundle up. We might bundle up a few lots and sell a few to a particular buyer. We might sell 13 lots to 13 different people. We are underway with that task. And so it was just proof. Once again, we've done this before. We did an office building the year before, 80,000 square feet, completely empty in Indiana. We went start to finish in 21 days, closed on December 29th. We do know how to get it done when it's important to our donor, and that was just another example of how we were spending Friday, December 31st, signing a bunch of papers to accept these lots.
Now, when the lots sell, what's the approximate amount that's going into the nonprofit pipeline?
We're not exactly sure. It's going to be north of 500,000. It could be up to $1 million. These are, like I said, they're kind of difficult lots. So we're going to have to entice somebody into taking them. But I think it's in that range, and it's going to go to the Berkeley Humane Society.
Well, there you have it, friends. There's another example of a donor who wanted a tax deduction by the end of the year. The nonprofit themselves couldn't get it done. They reached out to Realty Gift Fund, who got it done in sounds like about 20 minutes. So that's the beginning of the story, and we will continue to tell you what transpires as we move ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and start with section 2, and we'll be taking a break after section 2. So here we go. Good night. So section 2, we're going to give you the win-win-win. Now you're going to learn for the rest of the class. We're going to be explaining to you how we do it in this risk-free, no money out of pocket kind of way. So the third way, let's recap. The first way, donor sells property themselves. Now that can be through a realtor. It's just that they are selling the property and then giving proceeds to the nonprofit world. It's the worst way. Uncle Sam gets a big cut. The donor gets the least benefits. The nonprofit gets the least money. The second way is if the donor donates the real estate directly to the church or the soup kitchen. And the problem with that is 99.9% of them flat out will not do it for all the reasons that we've already talked about. So the third way is that we, the Real Agents of Change, have put together a team of experts. Now, you just met Bruce Geis. He is our favorite specialized nonprofit. And because of them, this is risk-free. Because when a donor has property to donate, let's use our situation with Dan. There's a church in Vegas. They got this donor with this $1 million condo in Florida. So the specialized nonprofit takes title. They are the ones that pay off the mortgage. They are the ones that give them the $200,000. They get this done. They get that first part done in less than 30 days. The donor has their tax advantage. They're off the deed. And now they can, Realty Gift Fund, the specialized nonprofit, can put the property on the market. As you can see, that is risk-free for the church because they never took title. There's no money out of pocket to handle these transactions. Now, any of you, just tell people that they can donate real estate. When there's a donation that comes to the table, that didn't cost you one red penny. You used your mouth, you had communication, donor stepped up, we introduced them, property is facilitated, and the nonprofit world is going to get the lion's share of that, 97, 98, 99% of the donation is going to go to them. There was no money out of pocket for that. There is capital available to enhance the value of the property. So let's say that condo in Florida, Hurricane Ian came through and gave it some wind damage and it needs to be fixed up. That's okay. That's what the specialized nonprofit does. Bargain sale. So this whole thing about paying off the mortgage and giving the donor some cash back, if a piece of property is donated, 100% of the proceeds is going to the nonprofit world, that's a donation. If any money exchanges hands for any reason, that is a bargain sale because in essence, the specialized nonprofit is buying that $1 million condo at a bargain of $400,000 bargain sale. Now, the way that we do it, the donor receives the full array of tax benefits immediately. They do not get pulled through the ringer with board meeting after board meeting of people trying to figure it out and trying to get their realtor to do it for a discount and begging people to come up with some money. That's just not the case here. The donor loves this because it is convenient, it is easy, and they don't have to worry about any of that. It's done in 30 days. So the nonprofit world receives the maximum amount of money, the donor receives the maximum amount of benefits, and 100% of the 1.5 million nonprofits are eligible, meaning even those that we popped up that do take their own real estate, one of them is Salvation Army. One of the stories we have is a transaction that the Salvation Army couldn't handle themselves, and even they used our specialized nonprofit. This is the win-win-win. This is what we are helping nonprofits to leverage to get funded. Now, charitable gifting of real estate is the tool. It's a tool that we've just never known about, and we didn't know how to use it. But the real agents of change are the blueprint. We are the blueprint to help learn how to use that tool. So let's start seeing exactly how this works. These are the three key stakeholders in how this works. Now, of course, you got to have a donor. If there's no donor, there is no donation. And it can be a private individual or corporation. More than 70% of all donations come from good old-fashioned folks like you and me, not corporations. Advisors. In our world, an advisor is anyone that advises property owners about their property. So it could be a CPA, a real estate attorney, it could be a wealth manager, it could be a real estate broker, advisor, someone who advises the community. And then there's the nonprofits. There are the public nonprofits, the donor advised funds, which we're going to get into in section 5. So these are the three stakeholders, and it looks like this. So that's why you'll hear me say it is the triangle of trust. There needs to be trust between these three people to make it happen. Now, the donors are a yes. Yes to what? They're a yes to leaving legacy. They are a yes to the tax deduction. They are a yes to donating real estate. We do not convince. We do not sell people on it. You can't convince someone to give real estate away. What you can do is inform and educate and help them know what their options are. And when the right people are educated, they are a yes. Yeah, that makes good sense for us. Advisors are a yes. I mean, you know, when you can help your clients to be more philanthropic, when you can help your clients to save money that they were going to give to the government, when you can help your clients to be a benefactor to hundreds of nonprofits in the community, and when you can get paid to do that, duh, advisors are a yes. It is the nonprofits that are a no. And we've already explained why they're a no, but we're going to reiterate a little bit because this is so important to understand why our nonprofit friends don't even want to talk about real estate. When you are talking to people, if you bring up real estate, they're going to say things like, we've tried that before. That doesn't work. It's too complicated, because they don't know how we do it. They are scared of the complexity. They are so risk averse. They don't have the money to do this. They don't have the expertise. They don't want the mission drift. they've had bad experiences, they have it written right in their bylaws that they don't take real estate. They just are a no. And even the ones that are a yes, very, very small box of criteria that it has to fit into. Most of them will say, we took a gift of real estate and we'll never do it again. There's a Boys and Girls Club in Florida that took a golf course many years ago. They actually did take it and they did sell it. And they got millions for it. As a matter of fact, the building they're in today was built because of that. And they will tell you they will never do it again. It took so much time and it was so confusing. I mean, when I met with the two women there who were telling me about this, I got tired just listening to them talk about how much it drained their energy. They will never do that again. Or, as I mentioned, they say they will take it. If it's really limited basis, it's got to be vacant, it's got to be local, it's got to be this, that, and the other thing, and the moon has to be full. So ultimately, they are just a no. So our team, our specialized team with the specialized nonprofit, their mission is to accept real estate of any kind from anywhere, taking on all financial and environmental risks, and convert that asset into cash so they can grant the money to the nonprofits that the donor has designated. Period. It's really, really that simple. So these experts exclusively accept gifts of real estate. They aren't doing business interest or stocks or gold bullion. It is real estate. They provide the donors those tax benefits. They are absorbing the risk in the title. They are working with the brokerage community. They are brokers. They've been commercial agents for decades, but they don't want to try to list this themselves. They want you. They want you so much. They told me when I first met them, Cammie, tell your real estate friends we pay a full commission. And then they grant the proceeds to the nonprofits that the donor wants to have it. Question comes up all the time. Who decides where the money goes? Well, if you think it through a couple of steps, if I've got $100 bill and I'm going to donate this to nonprofit, who decides where that $100 bill goes? Well, I do. It's my $100 bill. Same thing with real estate. Obviously, it's the donor that's going to decide where the money goes. So there is this awakening that has been happening in the nonprofit world for a few years around non-cash assets that incorporates lots of things. Of course, we talk about real estate, but Dr. Russell James is one of our advocates, friend of ours. He actually wrote the foreword to our book, Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not. And he and his team did research. And at the end of this presentation, we're not going to put any links in yet, but we'll send you a link where you can actually see his research page. And they've proven that when nonprofits take in non-cash assets, they can 6 times their rate of growth over nonprofits who only take cash. Now, the Nature Conservancy is one that takes real estate themselves, Jackie Frame, and they have proven that the same donors that have been giving cash will give a nonprofit 3 to 7 times more when they can give non-cash assets. And then our friend Matt over at the University of Oregon talks about how great it is that no extra donors are needed. Now, financial advisors have clients that need a tax deduction, and we're helping to ferret them out. Nonprofits can get a piece of that. And realtors that are working with nonprofits, of course, they're going to make their clients aware of specific nonprofits, but ultimately hear this loud and clear. Where do the donors come from? Who would donate real estate to my nonprofit? People who already love you. The people that are on your donor list. That's who. And please do not get in the scarcity mindset of I don't know anyone that would donate real estate. There is a woman that I've been introduced to who has a magazine, and I see her on Facebook. I saw her this week. I see her almost every week. People on the cover of her magazine, and she's, you know, in touch with people that are the descendants of Sammy Davis Jr. I mean, she's got this magazine and people are being featured on all the time. And 3 times now, I've tried to get her to come to the master class, and she said to me, Cami, I already told you, I don't know anybody that would donate real estate. Because of that scarcity limited mindset, she's got a magazine and she could be promoting this. She could be bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars for the underserved communities, and she's not doing it. It's so sad to me when people just won't get out of their own way to learn how this works. So here's the collaboration. Do what you do best and refer the rest. That's one of our favorite sayings here. We don't want you trying to explain how this works. We certainly don't want you trying to become a tax advisor or something like that. Stay in your own lane. See, nonprofits, their strength is creating that emotional bond with their donors. They are promoting their cause. They're telling you how many puppies in your area, you know, are homeless. They are educating us on, you know, human trafficking and the perils of that. They are cultivating those emotional connections. That's what they do. Not only cultivating and promoting the cause, but doing something about it. That's what their mission is. And now all that they need to do in this arena is to share the benefits, meaning they can introduce us to their donors. They can share videos or information. They can put a donate real estate button on their website. They can start asking for gifts of real estate, not to change their gift acceptance policies, but to just let people know that they can benefit from real estate. Now, the specialized nonprofit, what they do best, they accept, fix, sell, and grant. That's what they do best. What they don't do best is find the donations. What they don't do best is share the information like we are. So we all just need to stay in our wheelhouse, because they intervene. They see how they popped in over there on that triangle of trust. They got in between the donor and the nonprofit to help people. They are providing the resources that makes this happen. They are solving the complex issues. Some of these case studies that we will share with you that you can watch to your heart's content, complicated, sticky, dirty real estate deals that nonprofits just have no business trying to fit. None of us have business trying to figure out some of these deals, but that's what they do. And then they grant the bulk of the proceeds to the nonprofits that the donor wants to share with. Now, The Rock, the Real Agents of Change, us, what we do is we help with the systems and the scripts and the support. And this community foundation collaboration that starts on Thursday, this is a big deal. We're also starting to help with some warm introductions. So we're the only group in the country, in the world, that is completely focused on how to leverage real estate for real change. Like when people say to me, "Oh, okay, Cami, I'll go look into that." You better look right here, because there ain't nowhere else to look. This is it. And we are thrilled that you're here to learn how it works. So these logos, let us bask in the glory of all of these nonprofits that we all know, that we all support, that we've all been to a fundraiser for, that we've all done a golf tournament for, that we've all bought a raffle ticket or stale cookie at a bake sale. They all are fundraising. They're all nonprofits. So these have all benefited from the win-win-win way. These groups do not have a real estate team. They don't have people on payroll to handle real estate. And they're not even asking for gifts of real estate. They've just been the benefactors of really smart people who have brought gifts of real estate to the team. So Fidelity Charitables is the largest. I like to think of, like, if you think of the 1.5 million nonprofits in this country, and they're in a big old pile. It's a big old, like a lemon cream pie or something, right? And all that meringue all piled up. These are all nonprofits. And the crust on the bottom are the brand new nonprofits that just got started. They just got their 501c3. They haven't even made $1 yet, all the way up to those that are bringing in billions. Well, if you put a cherry right on top, that cherry is Fidelity Charitables. They bring in more money as a nonprofit than any others on the pie. And they don't even do their own real estate deals. They don't even want to spend their time, talent, and treasure on this. Even they leverage the same team. Friends, this is happening. It's happening for all of these. And if you've got a Boys and Girls Club or Habitat for Humanity in your neighborhood, in your marketplace, they don't know about this. Individually, they do not talk to one another about how this works. It's up to us to educate them and bring this to the table. And the fact is, the good news for you is when you bring this to people's awareness, you are the expert. You are the one that they're going to work with. You're the one that they're going to refer to buyers and sellers and investors, regardless of a donation, because you're the only one that's helping to get them funded by the millions. These universities and colleges and public radio and public TV and homeless shelters, all of this, these don't have real estate departments. What they have is the ability to get funded through gifts of real estate with no risk and no money out of pocket. And guess what? You have that now too. So we want to encourage you to position, partner, and promote. About 3-4 months ago, our dear friend, Barbara Petrella, who is an EXP commercial agent, who is in love with what we're doing, has been introducing us. It's because of her that Dan Klatt is here going to bring this to the churches that he is supporting. And Jim Wooten wrote this book, Real Estate Gift. As a matter of fact, I don't want you guys to go down a rabbit hole, but Alan, if you want to put therock.com/Jim Wooten, I want you guys to be able to get his book for free. You go to his page, you can get the PDF of his book. And his book is all about the second way, the hardest way. He's been doing it the hard way for 25 years. And that's why he's so excited about what we're doing. He's going back to all those 250, 300 churches and nonprofits he's worked with in the past and letting them know there's an easier way. So these are the kinds of people that we are positioning, partnering, and promoting with. Now, this case study, I'm going to tell you the case study, and then I'm going to show you the second video. This is the Berkeley Humane. You saw the video about the guy with the 12, 13 lots. So Berkeley Humane, 12 lots of land was donated. And when that land was liquidated, there was over $400,000 that went to that nonprofit. That nonprofit was smart enough to say, oh, well, we didn't know about that. That's different. Maybe we can find more. So they spoke. They used their lips. They didn't spend a whole bunch of money or months and months of some big campaign. They told people, hey, we don't know how this works, but it does. And if you've got any real estate, we can benefit, just saying. And a second piece immediately came to the table. And that second piece turned into $646,000 for that nonprofit. So the moral of the story, one nonprofit, 2 donations, 6 months, over $1 million. And if you go to their website now, you see a really fancy page about gifts of real estate. But they didn't have that fancy page until they brought in over $1 million. That's how it works. So the specialized nonprofit was created because they saw many years ago this big disparity. 3% of our wealth as a nation. This is so important. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're really doing the math here. 3% of our wealth as a nation, actually 2.7% as per Dr. James, is held in cash. 43% of our wealth is held in real estate. Real estate professionals, we are helping people with their largest asset class. Yet, when you look at this pie, 90% of what people are donating is cash. Think about that. 3% pocket change, what's in the checking account, 3%, 90% of what nonprofits are bringing in is coming from that. Yet only 2% is coming from 43% of wealth. $9 billion is nothing to sneeze at, but it's a paltry 2%. So these guys over at the Specialized Nonprofit 20 years ago, they all went on a fishing trip and they were talking amongst themselves. They all are in commercial real estate. They're all sitting on boards of nonprofits. Some of them have run nonprofits, and they're scratching their head. Why are these nonprofits not benefiting from real estate? And you'll even hear in one of my interviews with Bruce how they went and interviewed. They took a couple of years and they interviewed 1,000 nonprofits. They literally flew all over the country in the early 2000s talking to nonprofits about why this is. And they just figured out it's so damn risky. It's so scary. And they don't have the funds. That is why the Specialized Nonprofit was created. So that $9 billion a year, experts say it can go to $29 billion, 2% to 6.5%, because of how much wealth as a nation is held in real estate. But friends, that change, that extra $20 billion a year is not going to happen unless people know, unless they're educated, unless we bring it to their awareness. We do not convince. We don't sell people on this. We're not going to sell you on being a part of what we're doing. We are educating you and informing you, and you have options to get involved. That's it. And if this inspires you, just like it inspires the donors to donate real estate, $29 billion. You can be a part of that shift. Now, Gene Frederick is the granddaddy, the grand poobah of EXP. Of their 85,000 or so realtors, he overrides about 50,000 of you. And we met with him at his estate in Puerto Rico about a year ago. I explained this to him. If you go to therock.com/EXP, you can see the full interview that I did with Gene. And he said, you know, people in my age bracket, we've acquired 5, 6, 7 homes. He had no idea. He said any real estate agent who is wanting to increase their list price and meet and mingle with luxury high-end property owners need to know about this. Bam. There you go. There's a testimonial. So that's the end of section 2. I am going to show you the video of Bruce and I talking about how that second donation came in for Berkeley, but I just want to see if there's a question or two yet. Alan's telling me to check the chat, but there's a lot of chat over here. Scroll to the bottom, he says. Jackie says, I don't understand. So actual to the NGO was not included. Perhaps a split. All right, Jackie, unmute yourself. Let's talk.
Yeah, what doesn't make sense to me, if you're selling that many homes, 12 homes in the Bay Area, they're each of them worth at least 400 to probably $1 million. So why was it only 400,000 that they got back? Where did the rest of the money go?
It wasn't houses. It was lots.
Oh, so the value was not as large as a home would be at $1 million. That still seems
And-
awfully small.
Well, I don't know if it was out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if it was landlocked. But the thing is, 400,000. That's a donation that nonprofits just don't get every day. So
Well, I know it's large. It just seems small in proportion to what it would possibly have been in the Bay Area. So I didn't know if maybe it was split out and some of that money went to some of the donor to break out to evolving in interest or what. I didn't know if there was part of that. It didn't make sense, such a small amount.
well, and all of that does happen, Jackie. So sometimes when a donation happens, the donor wants 20% to go there and 30% to go
Yeah.
there. And some of the case studies talk about that. There's a house, as a matter of fact, I'll play the recording of the house that was donated. There was about 110,000 proceeds, not a huge amount, but the person who was donating it, at first he wanted it to go to one university. But then by the time the property was liquidated, before it came down to it, they said, wait a minute, here's 10 other universities. I want you to give 5,000 to this school and 1,000 to that one and 3,000 to that one. So the donor decides where it goes. And this is another reason why nonprofits won't take real estate. God forbid that one university handled this whole transaction. And then at the end, the donor said, hey, by the way, can you put a check over there? And can you send them some of the money too?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. I'm going to go ahead and share this next video, and I'm going to peek through and see if there's anything else to address, but hold tight 1 second. So you'll notice that we do have this list. There's all kinds of gifts of real estate in here for you to watch at your own leisure. But I'm going to show you. Oh, actually, it's up this way. Sorry. Here we are. Second donation. Let's watch this. This is the second part. The Real Agents of Change podcast series. We are speaking with Bruce Geis from Realty Gift Fund, talking about another case study where a donor has donated real estate to benefit the nonprofit world. Bruce, tell us our story for today.
Okay, this is an interesting one because it's a case of a nonprofit who was a late donor 2021 to us. First time they'd ever met Realty Gift Fund. And we stepped in and fulfilled a need they had. They had a donor with 13 pieces of property. They wanted to get off their books and donate by December 31st, 2021 to benefit this nonprofit. And we took a call on a Sunday afternoon and we said, absolutely, would be delighted to do this. Ultimately, that donation led to a check going to that nonprofit for about $408,000. It took about, I think the check went out in late March. We had to sell 13 pieces of property to get there. Here's the interesting part for us. This nonprofit immediately, as this was underway, started marketing gifts of real estate. And now we are under contract to do the second deal for them, which is a residential condominium in Carmel, California, owned by a woman who actually lives in Berkeley and is never going to use this property again. It was gifted to her a long time ago by her mom. It's in a senior community that she is not going to move into. And so she has made a gift to us, and we are going to sell it to somebody who wants to live in this senior community. We have run the math. We have talked to our broker. We have talked to our title company. We know that we need to invest $20,000 to get it ready for the market. And we believe that we are quite easily going to net for this nonprofit $600,000. Here's why this is an interesting story. We didn't know this nonprofit December 1st. Here it is, late spring the following year, and we're about to do $1 million worth of donations for this nonprofit from 2 pieces of donated property. That, I think, is a good story.
Amen. That's a great story. Now, you mentioned that this nonprofit, we have a lot to cover today, so you're welcome to watch the rest of that video and others. Any questions about any of that, or shall we get on into section number 3? Nancy, it's nice to see you here. I see that you're from Spirit of the Game, folks that we met yesterday through Jackie.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Jackie. How you doing? Yes, and it was Trent Simmons. So he says, well, get up early and listen to Cammie. And then it was great to see a couple of people here that I know as well. So it's very interesting. I've never heard about it too.
Well, the good news is, for those of us who are wanting to do some business development, most people haven't heard of it. Bad news for the nonprofits is that you've been missing out on this kind of funding. But the good news for the nonprofits is now we are helping the nonprofits to not have to worry about changing gift acceptance policies or try to figure out how to do this. You know, when a nonprofit hires a fundraiser, they pay them a salary whether they bring in funds or not. The difference here is the real estate agents have an incentive. They're going to get paid, but they're not paid up front with the promise of maybe they do something for the nonprofit. They get paid their full commission to do what they do best, which is sell the real estate. So there's so many benefits to everyone involved. Thanks for being here, Nancy.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
You're welcome. All right, let's get into section number 3. We're going to talk about all the benefits of how this works for Got Pros. And by the way, I would love to hear, you know, as the speaker, as the person who's bringing you this information, I am way more energetic and entertaining and on point when I know you guys are getting something out of this. I'd love to have you put in the chat, wow, I didn't know this. Hey, this is super exciting. Here's what we're going to do with the money. Wow, Cammie, I'm a real estate agent from California. I can just imagine how many, you know, luxury listings I'll take in. Like, whatever it is for you, put it over in the chat and I'll be able to take a peek at that at the next break. All right, section number 3. Let's talk about how this is such a win-win-win for everyone. Benefits to the donors. So not only are they going to avoid their capital gains tax, but they're also going to qualify for a tax deduction against their against the adjusted gross income based on their appraised value. So for example, when it's based on the appraised value, that means they're actually writing off the commission too. But if in step number 1, or the first way to if they just go sell the real estate and then give the proceeds, they weren't able to write off that commission. So there's all these little pieces of the pie that'll start to make sense when you really start thinking this through. They are able to preserve assets to protect lifestyle. Friends, this has to do with cash versus wealth bucket. Pocket change, cash in the checking account versus wealth of assets. So when someone is asked to go to another golf tournament and it's going to cost them $500 to pay for whatever and buy the raffle tickets, if it's Christmas time, they may be thinking, well, gosh, I could do that, or I could buy my kids Christmas presents. Or it might be that that $100 for raffle tickets is a big deal compared to maybe celebrating their husband's birthday at dinner. In other words, lifestyle. When we're comparing apples to apples, cash, they're thinking what else they could spend that cash on. When we shift the conversation to their wealth bucket of real estate, it's a whole different psychological ball game. Dr. Russell James talks about that a lot. We highly recommend that you reach out to him on LinkedIn, tell him that we sent you, and he'll send you 100 videos and resources about all of this. They are able to eliminate a complex asset from their estate. So people say to us all the time, well, what about these property owners' children? Don't they want to leave it to their kids? Guys, there are so many scenarios out there. A lot of people don't have kids. A lot of people don't want to leave it to their kids. I need to find, there was a story from a couple of years ago, a guy that donated a 4-family in the Boston area. He had paid like $100 grand for it 30 years ago, and now it was worth $2 million. And he had kids. And he said, I don't want to leave it to my kids. I want them to work for what they get. I don't want them to have a silver spoon in their mouth. So let's not assume what people would or wouldn't do with their property, but some of them don't want to burden their children with it. They know that their kids don't want a strip mall in California or an office building in New York. They want to simplify their estate so they can leave to their kids, which is what this next bullet point's about. So when real estate can be liquidated and some of that money put into a donor advised fund, which we're going to talk about in the next section, it is so much easier to leave it to the next generation. And believe it or not, take this off my hands. Please just remove this from my life. The convenience of it happens. So I need to put a slide in here about Grace. If you're on, my assistant's on. Grace, make a note to us to put a slide in here about Linda Grable and about the property she donated, because this is a good point about her. Linda was donating $25 a year for 32 years to her favorite nonprofit. $25 a year. You might not think Linda's going to donate real estate. When people say to me, no, I don't know anybody that would donate real estate, I always tell them this story and I say, you know Linda. We all know Linda. We all know somebody that's been donating $25 a month or a year. In this case, Linda found out about 3 years ago that she could donate real estate, and she did. She donated a cabin. It was the second home that her family had left to her. It had fallen into disrepair. It was something that she just didn't want to deal with. And when I talked to the fundraiser at that nonprofit last year, she said Linda's main reason for donating it, she just wanted the convenience. She didn't want to deal with it. And ultimately, that property gave $39,000 to that nonprofit. Now, it's not that huge $500,000 that we talk about, but $39,000 was a big deal for Linda to leave that legacy, and it took it off her plate. Now, another reason that this benefits donors is because they can receive partial payment. So remember our story. Dan's got a church in Vegas. There's a donor. Donor says, I love the church, but I'd like to get a couple $100,000 out. I want to buy life insurance for the kids. I want to take a cruise. So they can. It's called a bargain sale. If they need to pay off debt, if they want the return of the initial investment that they paid for the property. What about tailoring down the size of the gift? So what if their accountant said, you know, donating real estate's a great idea. I think it's wonderful that you want to do that. Based on your situation, you can only write off $600,000 over the next 6 years. So if you can get $400,000 out of it, tailor your gift down to the amount that you could actually leverage for your tax deduction. That would be wise. So they can pull that cash out so that they're not donating more than they can actually write off. They can buy that replacement life insurance. So when we talk to life insurance agents, we tell them, wow, what a great way for you to build business too. Because if you want to sell more life insurance policies, if somebody is liquidating real estate and they pull some money out, they can buy the biggest, baddest, boldest life insurance policy ever for the kids. And the kids would rather have that than the ranch in Texas anyway. So these are all the reasons. And ultimately, the donor is doing this because they want to leave legacy. So you might be saying, okay, all right, Cami, I get it. I'm impressed by these benefits. A lot of things I didn't understand or know before, but seriously, who would really donate their property? Now, we don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much in the middle of the class, but I do want to kind of get this out of your mind. This is an example of who would donate. These folks gave $129 million worth of real estate to their community foundation just a year and a half ago. Friends, the answer to your question, who would donate? Well, the people that you want to know, the people that would grow your business, the people that are generous and heart-centered, maybe high net worth, certainly legacy leavers. That's who's donating real estate. 80% of them do it because they are a veteran and they love our veterans. 80% of them do it because they got a house full of animals and they love animals more than people, and they don't want their kids to have the property anyway. They want to give it to the animal shelter. So 80% are for the right reasons. 20% are because it is a great tax deduction. And it is right for them. It's not right for everyone. But what is, right? It needs to be the right scenario. And for those people, not only are they a yes, but they are a thank you. Yes, please. So remember, $9 billion a year. So it's happening. It's just a matter of, are you part of it? And either way, whether they're doing it because of their love of mankind and helping out, or because they want a tax deduction and want to stick it to the government, either way, what you need to know is they want to do it. Not everyone. You can't convince. We don't want to convince. Isn't it awesome to know you don't have to convince like an expired or a for sale by owner? Isn't it great to know that you can talk to people who are grateful for the conversation? They're so glad. They will bring together 3 or 4 or 10 of their friends and have you teach all their friends about this. And they're going to be eager to learn more. They're going to want to watch the videos. They're going to want you to come in and speak to the Rotary group. They want to know about this. And where do you find them? Where do you find them? You already know them, and we're going to help you identify them. But let me just add this to this conversation. Number one, they are the donors on the donor list. When it comes to a major gift, a major asset gift, this isn't something that you find from a Facebook ad or cold calling. These are people that have a genuine desire to help, or they need a tax benefit. Either way, they're in your donor list, number one. Number two, where you find them, financial advisors, financial wealth managers, CPAs, and real estate attorneys. They know who wants to be philanthropic. They know who needs a tax deduction. What they don't know, we come in. Third, you find them in the realtors center of influence. If you've been helping people for 3, 5, 10, 30 years to buy and sell real estate, you know property owners, you know management companies, you know title companies and mortgage companies. Friends, these people are all around you. It's just a matter of educating and informing. So, nonprofits. Here's how this benefits the nonprofits. Now, it may seem pretty cut and dry how it benefits them. It benefits them by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. But let's give you some details. Now, Deborah LaPlante, EXP, got a lot of EXP people here. The very first day she sat in on the master class, reticular activator. She didn't know about charitable real estate, but now that it was in her awareness, she saw a minister on the 700 Club that was doing his thing, looking for cash donations. And she thought, I can help that guy. And she reached out to him. This has been a way for her to interact with church people, and that's her thing, in a way that she never could before. Friends, this is personal and professional development. So nonprofits can receive, the way we do it, they can receive the benefits, but avoid the risk and liability. So when you're talking to people and you randomly bring up gifts of real estate, just know that they don't understand how we do it. They don't know. They have to be educated and informed. We have to take a step back and have some compassion for the people that don't understand what we're talking about. This gives nonprofits a way to embrace their donors' best interest, because the donor benefits from these tax advantages. The donor wants to give from their asset class versus their cash pocket. And friends, if your nonprofit isn't giving your donors the choice of how to give to you, I promise you, other nonprofits will. And by the time you get around to it in 6 months or 6 years, they're going to say, well, I already gave it to the church down the road. I already gave it to my university. There's this group called the Real Agents of Change. They helped me give the money to 10 nonprofits. I wish I'd known. I wish I knew that you would do it. This gives you the ability to strengthen those relationships by tapping into the wealth bucket versus income. So Linda Grable, $25 a year. Guess what? The fundraiser told me in the last 2 years, Linda now donates $500 a year. Now, $500 may not be life-changing, but compared to the $25 a year for 32 years, that's a big deal. It strengthened that relationship. She showed up in a different way, and now she gives them more. It grows endowments at 6 times the rate of those who only accept cash. You can receive 3 to 7 times more from the same donors on your donor list. And it expands that number of major gifts without adding new people. Friends, this is just like for those of us who are in business. Whether you're a real estate agent, or you have a coffee shop, or you're a financial planner, or you sell widgets. Isn't it true that it's easier and cheaper to do business with people you're already doing business with than to put on this big marketing campaign to go find a new client? Aren't referrals a better way to do business than cold marketing people? So we want the nonprofits to know, tap into the donors you already have. That's how we can help you. All right, advisors, let's talk about us. So I'm going to break down the advisors a little bit. We're going to break out real estate agent and financial advisor. So elevate the brokerage or the broker to advisory status. When you're at a networking event, whether you're in a room or on a Zoom, I think every real estate agent here, if I were to ask them, would agree. We've never been to a networking event where we are the only realtor. Even the attorney has his real estate license. Even the woman in network marketing is a part-time realtor. When you can have this unique advisory status, friends, it's everything in business development. You can switch your focus to a non-emotional seller. If you're in real estate, you've had the experience where you list a property for an elderly couple and they've got 4 adult children all over the country, and they all want to tell you how to do your job. And they all want to tell you how much this house would sell for in their state. And they all want to tell you everything. They're emotionally charged. They all got their finger in the pie, and they want to make sure mom gets the most money for her house because they're going to get it. Friends, when it comes to the way this works, that real estate is donated to the specialized nonprofit. Mary and John and all 4 of their kids have nothing to do with it anymore. Specialized nonprofit is your seller. That's who you're listed with. That's who's giving you a full commission. And they are not only savvy, they're not only willing to pay you a full commission, they're also the nicest, easiest people to get along with. So earn that full commission listing this donated real estate. Financial advisors. Let's move the one hard asset that financial advisors cannot make money on, real estate. Let's liquidate that so that they can put some of that money into assets under management. That's how they make money. It's one of the many ways they make money. Let's pull some cash out and sell them life insurance. It's another way they make money. Let's preserve the next generation of clients. So if John and Mary have all these pieces of real estate all over the country, and they've got a financial advisor they've been working with for 30 years, when it's time for John and Mary to pass on the wealth, it would be real easy for those kids to go find a different financial advisor, maybe more hip, maybe more like them. But when mom and dad have taken all that real estate, put it into one place that financial advisor is managing, it's a hell of a lot easier to say, hey, already managing the account, and they just stick with that person. It's just easier. It's easier for them to keep the same clients. Now, certified charitable real estate specialist can be any of these people. You do not have to be a realtor to get certified. You can be a nonprofit. You can be if you're a fundraiser, you better consider it, because this is a tool that gives you the ability to help any nonprofit that you're talking to bring in generational wealth as opposed to pocket change. You can become proactive. So those people who say, well, if it ever comes up, I'll give you a call. We don't do real estate, but if anybody ever wants to, no. Proactive. Let people know. Tell them. Don't convince them. Don't sell them. Educate them. Respect the fact that they deserve to know how this works. Strengthen those relationships with those existing clients. You know, people are fickle. People buy and sell supposedly every 7 years. They're not going to remember you. You think they are, but they've got a magnet on the refrigerator from 14 different realtors. They got 14 different magnets for the football season and the basketball season. They got all this stuff. They're not going to remember you, but they will if you're the one that calls them up this afternoon. Hey, John and Mary. John, you're a veteran. Mary, you love animals. I found a way. That we can help these folks through gifts of real estate. This is a way to strengthen those relationships because people want to do business with those that are socially responsible. And I promise you, they will introduce you to people because their realtor that they've known for 30 years ain't got a clue. They don't know about this. They just don't. But you can be the one that they refer all their high income, multiple property owner friends to. They'll introduce you to their CPA and their financial advisor. Leverage marketing. Guys, these donations, the case studies that I'm showing you right now, you can leverage them yourself. Auction John is one of our champions, and he's part of the upcoming Community Foundation collaboration. I told him yesterday, I said, go in there and put these videos. Put a case study video every week in your social media, in your emails. Send it out. Educate people. Show them all the real estate all over the country that's being donated so that they can see, oh, this is what you do. I know a guy. Basically, you're expanding. You're expanding your business development right here. That's what's in it for you. Now, here's another example. The Vanden family donates this property to this university. This just came out a couple months ago. I love all these stories from all over the country that show this is happening. End of section 3. Any quick questions?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was, hi. So this alleviates probate? Because you're saying the siblings don't have, once the deed holder decides that they want to, give the property to a nonprofit, you saying the siblings don't have any say in it anymore? Even if if they have a will or, yeah.
Well, I can't speak for all scenarios. People sometimes bring up probate, Karen, because we're talking about donating real estate, and we're talking about people simplifying their estate and all these different talks. I just want to say probate in general is not the conversation here. This is about people who have lots of equity and they are wanting to leave legacy. They are wanting to avoid capital gains tax. Keep in mind, and we're going to go in the next section into what qualifies as a donation, but a donation of real estate has equity. We're looking for at least $250,000 on average. Doesn't have to be, because when Linda donated her property, it was only $39,000 in equity. But because the average is $550,000, $600,000 equity, we're looking for people who have equity and have an intention to be philanthropic.
I gotcha.
So this isn't about trying to find probate and trying to convince the children that it's the right thing to do to give mom's house away. That's a different conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, though. It comes up a lot. Let me just see if there's anything over here. How about someone like PBS? Jackie, I actually see quite often one specific group out in the country that is helping PBS to find real estate. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't help somebody at a public broadcast station, right? The public TV, the public radio. The fact is, any and all of the 1.5 million nonprofits out there are eligible for the way that we do it. So for example, Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity has gotten a check from our team from a gift of real estate that Habitat for Humanity didn't have to facilitate. They never took title. They didn't have to worry about the risk. Maybe they didn't even know the donor was donating it. They just got a grant check. But here's the interesting thing about Habitat for Humanity as an example. They have 1,700 locations all over the country, all over the world. And for whatever reason, they don't talk to each other about this. You would think that they would send out an e-blast and say, oh, my dear God, friends, we are getting on a Zoom this week. We have found a way to tap into real estate that's risk-free and no money out of our pocket. But they haven't, and they don't. So the Habitat for Humanity in your marketplace needs to know about this. And if you guys bring it to the table, there are referral fees for doing so. People will say, well, I'm not a realtor. How do I make money here? Look, if you bring to the table a donation of real estate and $500,000 goes to that nonprofit, there's many different ways to get a referral fee. Like we have a gentleman, Coach Trey, who is a nonprofit himself, and he's helping other nonprofits. He's actually putting together a business model where he's going to go teach these nonprofits through using what we have. He's going to go talk to them and say, hey, listen, I'm going to help you find the real estate, and I want 10% finder's fee from anything I help you find. That's his business model. Good for him. Because guess what? They'd be better off to give him 10% of $500,000 that they never would have had than to never have found the $500,000 to begin with. So there's all kinds of ways to play the game. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next section to keep us on track. Guys, I want you to feel really, really confident putting some stuff in the chat. Just stop me, ask a question. But let's go ahead and get on to the next section. We're getting into some real details here now. So let's rock and roll. So section number 4, how does this benefit a financial advisor? What is a donor advised fund? Now, that may not sound exciting. You may be thinking, oh, this is time for me to go check my email, but don't. Because it took me a year to understand this myself and to put it in the class. So I don't want you guys to have the same learning curve I did. That's why you're here, is to learn from people who've already learned from their own mistakes. So financial advisors initiate 65% of all major gifts. And if you really think about it, financial advisor, wealth manager, people in the financial industry, they know their client's business. They know who's philanthropic. They know who donated $50,000 to the American Red Cross last year. They know who needs a tax deduction. They are in the know about this topic. And their favorite nonprofit is a donor advised fund. Now, if you're a nonprofit and you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, Cammie, I want them to give it to me. Their favorite thing is a donor advised fund. How does that help me? Remember that Fidelity Charitables is the largest nonprofit in this country. And the reason that they are is because they house $13 billion in donor advised funds. And I'm going to share with you now that a donor advised fund is a fund that the donor advises how much out of it they want to go to a nonprofit. So while we are looking for a gift of real estate for you, you can become really entrenched in how this works, because those financial advisors have clients that have tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in their donor advised fund. And the only thing they can do with that money is grant it to nonprofits. So you could get a $5,000, $10,000, $500,000 grant from a donor advised fund. So stay with us. Let's learn about this. This is the fastest growing public charity in the world for lots of reasons. So donor advised fund is a charitable investment fund regulated as a public charity. It is funded by the donor, whether it's one time or many times, they can keep putting money in there. It's administered by a qualified sponsor, and you'll see who they are. Like, for example, Fidelity, Schwab, American Endowment Foundation, that sort of thing. They're directed by the donor so that they grant the money to other nonprofits. They are an alternative to a private foundation. Private foundations are a whole animal all of themselves. These donor advised funds entitle the donor to a tax deduction now, and the funds grow tax-free. So, person has real estate. They need a tax deduction now. They don't really know who they want to give the money to. I haven't really figured that out yet. So when they liquidate the real estate and they've got $500,000 in equity, they put it in the donor advised fund. And now that money can grow tax-free, grows interest, and they can grant out that money. So for those of you who are going to be a part of the Community Foundation collaboration, what you're going to learn is the Community Foundation is, in essence, a donor advised fund for that specific community, whatever community you live in. And so when they're managing that $500 million, they're granting out on average 3 to 4% of that every year. So these are things that you need to learn about. Donor can make periodic contributions into the donor advised fund, and the donor can make grants to other nonprofits. So for example, they have $500,000, and you know what? They love your church. They love it. But they don't really believe that if they gave you $500,000 right now, you would know what to do with that, or you'd be able to manage it. So maybe they put that 500,000 into a donor advised fund and have them advise out 50,000 a year for 10 years. So it's kind of fluid. There's a lot of ways that this can work. Any size, any time. This is the donor's ability to play with their donor advised fund. So here are the advantages to this whole donor advised fund thing to the financial advisor. The direction of the charitable account can include or be passed to others. So for example, John and Mary have all this real estate, or even businesses or stocks, but we're talking about real estate, and they liquidate it. And when they put it into this donor advised fund, it's so easy to just leave that to the next generation, which helps the financial advisor to maintain that client base, and they can make money from this. So when they're managing the donor advised fund, even if they're making 1 or 2% off of managing it, that can be a lot of money coming in for the financial advisor. So contributing real estate to a donor advised fund converts that hard asset into liquid money to go into the donor advised fund on which they can earn fees. So popular donor advised funds, DAFs as they're called sometimes, Fidelity Charitables as we've mentioned, Schwab, National Philanthropic Trust, Vanguard. Actually, our team is doing 3 deals right this red hot minute with Vanguard, National Christian Foundation. There's 600 plus community foundations that all have their version of a donor advised fund too. But these are what they would call commercial donor advised funds. And we'll talk at the very end about why a community foundation is, I don't know if I'd say better, but it's a different alternative to these. And most of these do not accept real estate themselves. Remember, Fidelity Charitables is the largest nonprofit, the largest donor advised fund in the country, and even they use our team. So here's an example, $7.5 million house listed in May. These are the kinds of donations that are happening. Now, there's the occasional $100,000 house in downtown Detroit, or a $50,000 piece of land. But we want to really expand our vision here of what we're talking about. These are the kinds of properties that people who are own multiple properties, this is kind of stuff that they're donating. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump on into the next section, which gets into the documents and the details and the do's and don'ts. Actually, you know what? This is going to take a deep dive. Let's take a 5-minute bio break. It is 1:15. Let's come back at 1:20, and we'll jump into this section. Be right back.
Hello, Karen. Good to see you made it.
Yes, thank you.
Pretty good stuff, eh?
Yes, so far so good. Yes.
Fantastic.
I can't wait to get some funding. Well,
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, we have so much stuff that we need to sell or donate.
There you go.
Are we on intermission?
Yeah, there's 5-minute bio break.
All right. So I want to Well, I can show you later, but I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
But this is my building. We got a lot of stuff to give away, guys.
Oh, very cool.
Huge. So we got, it's a pretty big building. So we have a guy doing a community service today. And he's a contractor, which is so great.
Fantastic.
Oh, we're recording, so I don't want to. Sorry.
No problem. Just wanted to say hi.
Okay.
Hey guys, just as we won't get started for another couple of minutes for those that are on bio break, but I do want to address what Mitch Berry is mentioning. Just talking to people about donating real estate. Some of them do, some of them don't get it. He says the question he's been asked a lot is, aside from the tax write-offs, what do I get out of it? Aside from consulting with a CPA, is there a reliable formula to run those numbers? Well, so as far as running the numbers, the only benefit is the tax benefits. And in this next section, we're going to show you a comparison with an actual property with an actual tax basis. So we can put some actual numbers behind it. But this isn't for everyone. You know, it would be like saying, well, you know, I'm going to go knock on a door of somebody that owns a house and ask them if they want to sell it. And if they don't want to sell it, how can I convince them to sell it? You know, it's just, not everybody wants to sell. Not everybody wants to donate real estate. People who have a philanthropic desire, people who are cash conservative and want to give more, you know, they want to leave that legacy. There's just story after story in the case studies about why people donate real estate. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing some interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks with donors of real estate. As a matter of fact, one of the donors that I interviewed way back at the very beginning, this gentleman named Bob, who had donated a piece of real estate because he had owned it forever. He owned it for like 30 years. It was in a college town. the capital gains, the taxes would have just killed him. But the reason that he donated it was because he was wanting to help conserve land in Colorado. And he loved this specific nonprofit that was helping to do land conservation. And they needed a new computer system. They needed this new program, like a $30,000 program that they needed to have created to be able to keep up with land and all the stuff. He didn't have 30,000 cash. What he had was a whole bunch of properties that he had bought for peanuts 30 years ago that now not only could he save on capital gains, but he could actually help the nonprofit to create this program that they needed so much. So if someone says, what else is in it for me? Then they're not the one. They're not philanthropically inclined. They don't love the veterans. They're not wanting to stop human trafficking. So just kind of as a side note, they probably aren't the one. That's all. Okay, 121. Let's jump on into the next section. Section number 5. Let's get into what does qualify as a donation of real estate. Now, the canned response to that is it can't be a timeshare. It needs to have equity, and it needs to be marketable. How much equity? Well, that depends on many different factors. But when we say it needs to be marketable, keep in mind, there's a smart group of guys, the Specialized Nonprofit. Now, there's several of them. We've actually met a handful of others that if we needed a different kind of scenario, there's more than one group that does this, but any of them, if they're willing to take title, if they're willing to pay off mortgage, if they're willing to pay HOA fees and water bills and electricity and holding costs, they're not going to do that if they don't think the property's going to sell. That just doesn't make sense. So therefore, it needs to be marketable, meaning it needs to be something that people would want to buy. So let's look at specific details. Now, even though it's anything that's not a timeshare, let's just kind of go through some to kind of get the juices flowing. So it can be residential. And yes, that does include primary houses. People could donate the house they live in if they don't own anything else. This is all about what is in it for that person. It might be that their husband died of brain cancer, and when they pass away, they want their primary home to go to helping find a cure for that. You know, it's really up to the person as to why they donate. Second homes, Linda donated a cabin that her family had left to her 40 years ago prior. Investment properties, so it could be a single family home, could be a 2-family home. Commercial, friends, commercial property obviously is a big deal. Boy, do you go up as far as the average amount that's donated when it comes to commercial, multifamilies, office buildings. There's case studies. And when we get into commercial, now we're really talking about why nonprofits won't do this and why they need somebody like the Specialized Nonprofit. Because what if it is a strip mall and the anchor tenant is vacated? So the strip mall is 70% vacant. What are you going to do with that? You need experts to know what to do with that and to pave the parking lot and to remodel and all those things that need to happen. Strip malls, storage facilities, restaurants, hospitality, anything can be donated. As a matter of fact, last week, the story is of a sewage plant. A developer donated a sewage plant to this specific city. We'll get a slide made of it. And he's actually going to continue to manage and maintain the sewage plant. The city's going to pay him to manage it, but now they own the sewage plant. So it really can be anything. Land, raw, farms, ranches, no timeshare. Timeshare is just not real property. It just is what it is. So what else qualifies? Length of ownership. They need to have owned it for a year for the capital gains tax issue to kick in. Marketability. Now, a property may not be marketable right now, meaning there's another story that I could show you where the property that was donated was actually marketable, but it was 3 commercial lots on a lake in Minnesota. And even though they could have sold it for $300,000 right away as 3 commercial lots, Specialized Nonprofit looked at this and said, lake, residential all around, beautiful. What if instead of just selling it and getting $300,000, what if we took a little bit of time and a little bit of money and rezoned it? So it took them about 6 months, took about $90,000 out of pocket to get the surveying and go to court and all these things. But ultimately, they converted it from 3 lots of commercial into 7 residential lots. And the property went from a value of $300,000 to a value of $700,000. So Specialized Nonprofit recoups their expenses right off the top. They get that $90,000 back in their pocket after expenses. Then the proceeds went to the nonprofit world. So marketability can change based on who owns it and what they're willing to do to it. Underlying tax circumstances, like we want to make sure that the people who are working with us are above board and legitimate and doing this for the right reasons. Friends, we're working with a group that does this for Fidelity Charitables. There is no room here for trying to get one over on the government or doing anything that's not completely above board. That's not what this is about. This is about leveraging the tax law to our advantage to fund nonprofits, period. Now, the minimum equity that they're looking for is $250,000. Now, I've told you the story about Linda. There was only $39,000 there. So it can vary for different reasons and different scenarios, but ultimately that's what we're looking for. Keeping in mind that the average equity is over $500,000 and that part doesn't come up as often as you might think. The maximum size is unlimited. So it could be a $10 million property with a $5 million mortgage. So what? If there's enough equity and the Specialized Nonprofit believes that they can sell it, they'll do the deal. So what are the requirements for documentation? Now, our favorite saying, do what you do best, refer the rest. I'm going to show you these documents just to show you all the reasons why nonprofits don't want to do this and just some of the complexity, which, you know, for real estate agents, maybe it's not that complex, but we don't want you to feel like you need to become a CPA or you need to explain the tax consequences to someone. Our job is to simply let people know this is an option and then let the experts do what they do best. So, net gift estimate. When a donor comes to the table and they've got a piece of property, the first thing we do is introduce them to Specialized Nonprofit. So the Boys and Girls Club, the church, the veterans group, whoever it is, they can be on the Zoom. The donor can be on the Zoom. Their CPA, the real estate agent, whoever needs to be there. Everybody comes together and has an intelligent conversation. And when the donor is shown, here's what it looks like to sell that property traditional. Here's all the taxes you would pay based on your situation versus here's what it looks like to do a donation. They get side-by-side comparison. When they decide this is good for me, this is a good decision for me, then we have that net gift estimate that follows from start to finish. It is that net gift estimate that we're all following for the next 3 months while this is happening to put, oh, we needed a new roof, right? Whatever needs to happen goes on that. Donation agreement versus bargain sale. Now remember, property is donated free and clear. Here's the keys, here's the deed. That's a donation. Any money exchanges hands for any reason, it is a bargain sale. because the nonprofit, no matter who it is, if any money needs to pay off mortgages, pay off liens, or be given to the donor, then in essence, that nonprofit is buying the property at a bargain. So in our story, we've got $1 million condo in Florida, $200,000 mortgage, $200,000 to the donor. The nonprofit is buying $1 million condo at a bargain of $400,000. Donation disclosure agreements, just like any other disclosure in real estate, talking about using a professional appraiser, talking about, who's doing what, all the disclosures that have now been written around what it looks like to have a donation, like who's getting how much money, etc. So there are 2 IRS forms. Do what you do best, refer the rest. You don't fill any of these out. This is not something you need to remember how to do, but this is how it goes down. The 8283 is signed by 3 people: the appraiser of the property, the donor of the property, and the nonprofit that's taking title. In our case, the specialized nonprofit. It is this form that says there is $1 million appraisal. And that is what the tax deduction is based on. Obviously, they are paying taxes on the $400,000 that is paying mortgage and going in their pocket. This is the form that gives the donor the tax incentive immediately. So remember how we say this can happen in 30 days. The donor has this document. And at this point, right now in the transaction, we don't know what it sold for yet. But this is what it appraised for. And that is what they're basing the tax deduction on. Now, the next form is when it does sell. And this is kind of a check and balance. So the IRS got the first form, set it appraised at $1 million. Here's how much the mortgage is, blah, blah, blah. Here's all the numbers. And with this form, it is only signed by the nonprofit that had accepted title, because now that it's sold, the IRS wants to go back and check and say, okay, well, it appraised for $1 million. How much did you get for it? Now it sold for $952,000. It sold for $1.1 million. If it's within 20% or so, it's legitimate. Now, if it sold for $300,000 and they appraised it for $1 million, that's a problem. So this is how they do the check and balance. Listing agreement, purchase and sales, whatever it is in your state. When you think about a REO property or a relocation property, those banks, they're using the same agreements that you have in your state. Same kind of thing here. So that donation bargain sale agreement, people ask all the time, how do I know that our nonprofit's going to get the proceeds? Friends, this is a real estate transaction. It is being done through teams that do it for a living and that do it for Fidelity Charitables. It is what it is. It is a third party that is handling these transactions and have contracts, just like anybody in real estate. And on the donation/bargain sale agreement, it is written right there in section 18, I believe. Here's how much is going to the church. Here's how much is going to the Boys and Girls Club. Here's how much is going into the donor advised fund. Here's how much the specialized nonprofit is keeping. So that's all before anything happens. It's all up front. Okay, going to get in the weeds for about 5 minutes. This is the comparison. Disclaimer, I am not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA. I have no professional ties to giving you this information. I'm simply providing what has been asked for, a side-by-side comparison. And I'm going to explain it as a layperson would explain something that they don't really understand. And I'm okay with that, because I want you to see that you do what you do best and refer the rest. When it comes down to what I'm getting ready to show you, CPA needs to be involved, financial advisor needs to be involved, specialized nonprofit needs to explain it. But here's what it looks like. So this is the depreciation schedule on the left. In order for us to talk about comparing apples to apples, we can't just say, well, let's say there's this property. Well, no. Let's have a property. Let's have the specific tax structure for the donor. Let's have an actual example by over here on the left-hand side. So left-hand side now on this screen, conventional sale, right-hand side is a donation. So right off the bat, with a conventional sale of property worth $4.5 million, you're looking at almost $900,000 going to the government in capital gains tax and depreciation recapture tax, versus on the right-hand side, zero. So even a layperson like myself can see that that is a benefit if the donor has charitable intention. So 900,000 less going to the government. Now, this is the cash value of the property. On the left-hand side, because 900,000 went to the government, we've got less of a write-off of our adjusted gross income. So 3.3 million is what they can write off of their adjusted gross income, versus on the right-hand side, where it's actually 4.5 million. Okay, so now we can see that there's more money again on the left-hand side that's going to the government versus how much is staying with the donor. And if you look at the percentages to the far right, the total cash benefit, the total cash value of the property on the left is 4.8 versus on the right, 6.2. And you see the numbers, 29.7% increase. That is what we call charitable leverage. The $4.5 million piece of property, through leveraging it through a charitable donation, has now just increased in value by 29% because of the tax benefits, because of how much more is going to the nonprofit and how much less is coming out of the pocket of the donor. So I'm just going to sit with that for a second. You can ask a question or two, but that's about the extent of how I can explain that. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this section. So the preliminary property evaluation is what the donor fills out in the very beginning. So every nonprofit has a button that says donate. And if you click that button, you can put in your Visa or your MasterCard, and you can donate $5, $50, $500, whatever it is. And 2 or 3 days later, because of credit card processing, the nonprofit receives 97% of those proceeds in their bank account. We're all familiar with that. Credit card processing. The nonprofit had no idea what that person's credit score is, how much they can afford to donate. They don't know anything about their credit card. All they know is they got 97% in their bank account. So here, you can have another button that says donate real estate. See if my property qualifies to donate real estate. And when the nonprofit has that button there, it's the same thing. They don't need to understand all of how this works. They need to have a basic concept. But once it's facilitated, that 97, 98% gets granted to them. This is how we look at the property to begin with to see if it qualifies as a gift of real estate. Now, notice that the first section is about the donor's unique goals. We want to know, what is your interest? Why are you considering donating real estate? We want to make sure that it is philanthropically inclined, or at least estate planning, tax saving inclined, as opposed to well, my brother is a appraiser and I can get it appraised for $1 million and go sell it for 300,000. No, I'm not going to do that. So this is the property where we're just gathering up our information. The second section is the same kind of stuff any realtor would ask a client before going on a listing appointment. What's the address? How much do you owe? What do you think it's worth? Et cetera, et cetera. Property evaluation form. Looks a little bit different online, but you get the gist. Now, because we see all kinds of uses of charitable gifting of real estate, just wanted to share these. There are wealth managers that are writing articles, doing blogs about this. I actually saw one recently where a community foundation in Nebraska was advertising that they accept real estate and they accept heads of cattle. They're very creative. So just a couple of other examples of real estate that was donated and of wealth managers that are telling people. Now, see, even with this though, this wealthmanagement.com, even what they're doing, they're explaining the benefit of donating real estate. They still don't know how we do it. So that's where you come in, talking to these folks. All right, this is our roadmap. And I'm going to walk through this. This is basically the end of this part of the presentation. I'm going to take a quick break and I'm going to come back and explain to you what it looks like to become a specialist, a champion, and or be a part of the Community Foundation collaboration. I was asked at the very beginning of this revolution to put on paper a really simple way to explain the process. So this is because a donation came to the table. Where the donation came from, why the person is donating, how much cash they got out or who they're giving it to, that's not this conversation. This is, what does it look like? So number one, we got a donor. Whether 80% chance it was altruistic, 20% chance they're doing estate planning and need the tax break, either way, here's a donor. What are we going to do with them? Well, let's go down the road to number two. Specialized nonprofit's going to take title, assume all responsibility, pay off mortgages, give the donor the tax benefits they're looking for. Specialized nonprofit has title to the property. We're going to come on down to number three. And number three, we're going to list this property with a charitable real estate specialist, the one that brought it to the table or the one that's partnering with that financial advisor, etc. When the property is listed and liquidated, just like any other listing a real estate agent would have, we go down to number four, and now we are granting the proceeds to the nonprofit that the donor wants to have it. That nonprofit had zero risk. They may or may not even have known that the property proceeds were coming their way. They get the money directly in a grant. Now, number five, now that we are doing these gifts of real estate, this is where partnering and promoting and leveraging and bringing for-profit and nonprofit together. This is where we are doing media, PR, doing press releases, letting people know, hey, this real estate was donated and this nonprofit got $800,000 and you can benefit from it too. Because when all of that PR, Facebook, you know, as a real estate agent, it's very rare that your friends and family are going to share or forward a post about a listing that you have or an open house that you're doing. But when this listing goes to fund youth by $800,000, they will share it. So now that we're doing some PR, now that people are seeing what's happening, now people can bring another piece of real estate. So number one can happen again. Donor comes to the table. First thing we do, once they've decided to donate, transfer title to specialized nonprofit who takes on responsibility, no risk, no money out of pocket for the nonprofit world. Now that they have it, hot potato, got to get rid of it. Down to number 3. Let's list it with a real estate agent at a full commission to liquidate it. So number 4, the money gets granted. 1 nonprofit, 3 nonprofits, donor advised fund, wherever the donor wants it to go. Number 5, if we're smart, we'll let people know that it's happening. We will educate them that they can do it too. Our nonprofit is getting the exposure. Our real estate agent is getting the exposure. Our financial advisor, our CPA, the title company, the mortgage company, any and all of these folks can be a part of this awareness raising campaign so that number 1 happens again and we just keep washing and repeating. So this is why nonprofits and realtors and financial advisors, etc., are becoming champions, because we have the only system and support and strategy to help find the donations of real estate, to handle the real estate donations, to position, partner, and promote, to find more. We have the only national database of charitable real estate specialists in the country. Alan, can you shut the door, please? Because the landscapers are at it. We're on a golf course, and it's lovely, but they do a lot of landscaping. Now, this is the map. This is, as you can see on this map, there's a couple of different colors on here. So when we first started, this was for realtors. But after the first year, we realized, oh, financial advisors need to be on the map. Nonprofits and fundraisers and other business people. As a matter of fact, down in Miami, we have a radio company, a radio station that's on the map because they want to interview people about this. So this is an interactive database where you get featured so that people can find you and they can start interacting and positioning, partnering, and promoting together. So now that we're at the end of section 5, I want to give you the opportunity to ask any questions, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to wrap it up with explaining what your next steps are. I see Alan's been sharing with you guys the documents page, the property valuation. Save those links, put a pin in it, and go look at those later. We got about 15 more minutes together, and then you can do all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one more case study while we take a break. This one's about 8 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish it up.
He may already know.
Case studies are so important for people to really wrap their head around charitable gifting of real estate, who donates, why they donate, who gets the money, how much money they get. So we love hearing from Realty Gift Fund. Bruce Geis is the master. He is the secret sauce. They make these transactions happen super easy for any nonprofit in this country. Bruce, tell us the case study for today.
Well, I want to be sure that we talk about a variety of different types of donations. So this next one's going to be a discussion of a bargain sale. Okay. A bargain sale, for those who are not aware, is a gift from a donor to a nonprofit for which the donor would like a cash payment, a partial cash payment against the full value of the asset that the donor is giving to the nonprofit. So it's part gift, part sale. And to make this more clear, we are working with a donor now. We haven't closed on this, but it is the perfect example of the kind of work that we do. It's a multifamily apartment building in Scottsdale that has a value of about $6.3 million. And for whatever reason, he would like a $2 million payment made to him against the $6.3 million appraisal that he believes he can get when it's time for him to get the appraisal on his property in respect to the whole process that we follow when we take these donations. The reason for the $2 million payment may be that he would like the return of his initial capital. There is no debt on the property, so we know that we're not paying off any debt. It may be that he's trying to trim down the gift portion to an amount that he can use over 6 tax periods to claim a charitable deduction against his income. Because there is a limit as to how much you can claim against your income, and you do get 6 tax periods to eat up all of the tax deduction. And oftentimes donors do have in mind, how much can I actually use? So we're uncertain at this moment as to what the reason is, but we have agreed to pay him $2 million when we accept the donation and take deed to the multifamily property. And then we believe that there are 2 buyers potentially in the marketplace. Actually, there are probably a dozen buyers in the marketplace, maybe even 24 buyers for a multifamily property in Scottsdale, Arizona. Multifamily properties are one of the hot commodities in today's real estate environment. Even, despite the fact that interest rates are going up, a lot of the money that is provided to buyers for multifamily properties come from institutions. So they're essentially cash deals. And so the interest rate environment doesn't really affect that much the sale value. So we believe we have an asset that is going to be reasonable to sell, that it's in reasonable condition. We have checked into this, and that it's reasonably occupied, at 96% or something like that. So we're all in on this, and we look forward to writing that check to our donor for $2 million, accepting his gift, finding a buyer, and producing $4 million, which is going to go to a new relationship that we have with an institutional donor advised fund sponsor, Vanguard. We're, really looking forward to that for that reason.
That's fabulous. There's so many donor advised fund organizations that are working with Realty Gift Fund, Fidelity Charitables, Vanguard, American Endowment Foundation. Do you have any idea who the nonprofits are that he might be giving out of his donor advised fund?
We normally do find that out, and we're not to that point yet. We are going to find that out. It's interesting because our donors know who they're going to support for the most part. One of the reasons that people do use donor advised funds, I'm just going to be honest here, they have a big event. Donor advised funds are commonly believed to be the solution for somebody who has a big income event and would like to get some capital gains protection on a portion of the event by throwing it into a donor advised fund and then selling the asset, and the gift portion passes free of capital gain taxes. That's what's happening here. The gift is being made to our nonprofit. The asset passes free of capital gain taxes. We're in the business of making grants to other nonprofits, and in this case, we're making a grant to a donor advised fund in the donor's name at Vanguard. He may already know the categories that he supports most. We're working with a gentleman right now. His entire category is conservation. When we sell the property that we own, because we took his donation earlier in the year, it's going to 5 conservation groups. It's being split equally amongst 5 conservation groups. Some people are definitely into a health-related or education-related nonprofit sector because of an experience they've had in their family, right? There is that rare bird who says, look, I've got the rare event and it's a lot of money. And because I don't know who I really want to support, I'm going to park the money in a donor advised fund to give me time to sit down and talk to people and research nonprofits and get more familiar with the causes I think I believe in before I actually make from my fund grants to these other nonprofits. Perfect use of the donor advised fund. We're big fans of that.
Well, Donor Advice Fund is the favorite nonprofit choice for financial advisors too, for lots of reasons. And as you continue to watch our videos, you'll learn why that is. Bruce, thank you for yet another interest. Well, there you have it. Uncle Bruce. Everybody loves hearing Bruce explain how this works. We've got a couple of case studies from Jim Wooten too, from his perspective of how he's been doing gifts of real estate for the last 25 years also. Are there any questions about the material that we've covered today? I've either done an excellent job or confused the hell out of you, one or the other. All right, well, let me share with you what it looks like to become a specialist, upgrade to champion, and potentially be part of the Community Foundation collaboration. Interesting case. Now, as we've mentioned, a specialist, you know, just like doctors, right? They specialize in feet or ears or heart or, you know, whatever they specialize in. That makes them more knowledgeable in their field than anyone else. Specialists have knowledge. Champions take action. So Dr. James has written, and I'd love to play for you his actual reading of his foreword with us, but I'll leave that for you to read in the book and listen to. He talks about how the numbers are clear. Transformational philanthropy comes from major assets like real estate, but numbers aren't the problem. The problem is action. People can understand the idea, nod their heads at the numbers, but nothing. They don't act. Dr. James says the disease is inertia and fear. The cure, you're reading it right now when you're reading the book. You're in it right now with us. The cure is to actually have a track to run on, actually have some guidance and take action. So this is what it looks like to be a champion, right? Champions, when you look up the definition of champions, champions are people who take a stand for others. Champions are those that are number one in their game, their sport, their industry. So let's take a look at specialists and on into champion. So charitable real estate specialist includes the masterclass live, which is on the 1st and the 3rd Tuesday. This one right now is the last one that's just free and open to any and everyone to come in. Moving forward, you have to be a specialist and or a guest of a specialist. So you also get the recording. It might be this specific one, but we certainly have a couple others. It's the same material and information that you can get so that you can go back and watch and re-listen and continue to learn. So if you go to the website, you'll see where there's master class for $47, but you don't need that because that is included in being a specialist. Specialist also includes getting certified. So you'll take a test. When you get at least an 85 on the test, 95% of people have, it's pretty simple, you become certified. And you have the right for the next year to use that designation and the trademarks and be a CCRES on your business card. And you get added to our interactive national database. Now, this is realtors, nonprofits, financial advisors. You'll notice on the map over here, there's a couple of different colors. And the most people that are on the map are realtors, because that's what we were really focused on for the first year. But then we realized, wait a minute, the realtors need financial advisors to partner with. The financial advisors and realtors need nonprofits who get how this works and aren't just sitting out with their hand out waiting for somebody to do something, but that are actually part of a tribe that understand partnering together for the better good. So this is for all of you, and we even have people on right now. I saw Heike's on with us today. She's not a realtor or a financial advisor or a nonprofit, but she's actually a champion because she's a visionary business owner who wants to work with all those people and support the nonprofit world. So the specialist package was $400 for a good year and a half. If you go to the website right now, it's $400. But there are nonprofits that we are partnering with. Beyond Living was created by a gentleman named Keith Eichley, who's a friend of mine, brilliant in marketing, brilliant in real estate investing, and has now created a shared housing type of nonprofit. Won't get into the details right now, but just want you to know this is so important for nonprofits. He has been helping to subsidize and give this program for $97 to other nonprofits, to realtors, to financial advisors. So the first thing you do with us is become a specialist. And you can go to therock.com/Beyond Living. When you go there, you can read a little bit about Beyond Living. But if you click there, you can purchase and become a certified charitable real estate specialist for $97. And this is it. By midnight tonight, that is not going to be available anymore for $97. Price is going up. We've changed how we're doing things. We've got to weigh plenty enough activity and interaction so that now you have to be at least a specialist or the guest of a specialist to come to the master class. And if you wait till after midnight tonight, it won't be $97 anymore. Now, specialist is $97, and it also includes 2 VIP tickets. You can come to the master class as much as you want. There are people on here. Bo Weidman has been in real estate for 47 years, and he had 13 designations before we met. This is his 14th designation, and I believe it's the 13th or 14th time he's been to the master class. He's been here every 2 weeks for the last 4 months and just really sees the benefit of this. So every time he comes, he can bring 2 guests with him. And you will receive unlimited email support with our experts. So when people say, well, why would a nonprofit want to become a specialist? Well, not only do you want to be on the map, but you want to be able to come to this as much as you want. You want to be able to bring your board members, your donors, your real estate friends, and you want to have access to us to ask all these questions about charitable gifting of real estate. And by the way, our specialized nonprofit, 3 times a month for specialists and above, have open office hours. You can come in and talk about any tax benefits, any of the legality of it. This is all part of being a specialist. And right now it's $97. So that's the first thing. Once you become a specialist, and by the way, you can get a free copy of the book. PDF is at my web, at this link, and also on my link. We're going to be doing a book study coming up very, very shortly. So once you become a specialist, that's great. Key number one, you've learned more than anyone in your industry. You already have learned it, and that's great. But what are you going to do with it? What you going to do with it? Who are you going to talk to? What are you going to say? How are you going to say it? Because now we're getting into lead generation. Now we're getting into actually having conversations with people about this. Now, remember the warning at the beginning, this is either a blessing or a curse. If you learn this stuff and you don't go share it with people, then you have to live with that you know how to fund nonprofits and you're not telling anybody. So let us help you lead generate. Let's talk about listing and liquidating and how gifting of real estate is a two-step process. There's the charitable gift that initiates the tax deduction and the charitable funding, which is how we give the money to the nonprofit world. So there's still more to learn. Key number 4 is leverage. How do you position, partner, and promote with all those people on the map and with all the people in your area? How do you bring title company, mortgage company, Verizon, car dealership? How do you bring them together and do a campaign where everyone knows you are the charitable real estate specialist? Because ultimately, we all just want to leave legacy, and we can help others to do that at the same time. So that's what champions do. They take action. So the champion upgrade, you got to be a specialist. You can do all of this today, right now. You don't have to do one thing and wait a week, but you have to be a specialist first. Champion upgrade, the legacy launch pad is what we created to help launch your legacy in 30 days. It is a whole video series, and we go through all of the keys. We go through the 7 P's from purpose to payoff, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. There are scripts. There are videos about mindset. The legacy launch pad doesn't get the attention or the conversation that it should, but it will with those of you who are joining the Community Foundation collaboration, because this is the basis, the legacy launch pad. Also, as a champion, you'll get the roadmap that you can use. You will have access to our 101 slide decks. We have 20-minute overviews for nonprofits, realtors, donors, and socially responsible mindset. You can have access to all of those. You will get a script for a press release, help to revise your bio. You can do an interview with me. As a champion upgrade, you get access to these signs, to 60 pre-done social media posts for Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. There's several email campaigns that you'll get access to. The training and strategy. So once a week on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, we come together to talk about these strategies, to role play with me, and there's other guest experts that come on as well. We have a private Facebook group. Really want to encourage you to go ahead and get the PDF of this book so that you can come to the book study. It's going to start first week of February. I've been talking about it. I just got to get it on my calendar. We're going to come in and we're going to read sections of the book together. We're going to walk through how to implement this. Now, also as a champion, we need to learn about how to start conversations. Dr. Russell James has taught us. Here's how you start conversations. Share a story, and stop talking. And we've got videos on that, and we do live conversations about what that means. We are wanting to give you many different mindsets and spins on how to start a conversation. We don't want to confuse people with a bunch of techno babble and sharing numbers and statistics. Let's just share with them from our heart. Let's just plant the seeds. Now, the 7 P's from purpose to payoff, not going to spend a lot of time on it here, but boy, is this important. As a matter of fact, in the next 30 days, I've just decided we're going to do another 7 P's from purpose to payoff workshop. It is spectacular to get clear on what is your purpose, what is their purpose. Their purpose means the person you're talking to. whether you're having a one-on-one conversation, whether you're speaking to a room full of nonprofits, whether you're sending out a social media, you need to know what's in it for them. Talk to them from their positioning. Anyway, all of this 7 P's from purpose to payoff is a trademarked program that I was teaching even before we got the Legacy Launchpad and the Championship package put together. I had people that were investing $597 back in 2020 to do the 7 P's from purpose to payoff, and it's a free bonus as part of the Champion package. So once again, different signs that you can have created, postcards, it's all part of the Champion upgrade for $97 a month. And there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So $97 to be a specialist. And by the way, you will be locked in to the $97 a year when it comes time to renew, just like any other designation or certification that you do, CCIM, luxury agent, first time home buyer. Every year you have your annual renewal, and this will be locked in at $97 for you, but you have to do it by midnight tonight to do the specials for $97. Now, Champion is $97 a month, or if you do the $997 for the year, not only do you save 2 months for free, but what I'm getting ready to show you is why 100% of the people, since we've made it this way, $97 a month or $997 for the year, plus this custom stuff I'm getting ready to show you, 100% of the people have opted for the $997 a year because we give you therock.com/Cami Baker is my page. therock.com/Jim Wooten is his page. Barbara's is, I think, B. Petrella or Barb Petrella, but you get this personalized landing page. We put your interview on there. It includes updating your bio, 2 versions of that roadmap. So remember, I showed you the roadmap at number 3. If you're a real estate agent, you want your headshot and your logo and stuff there. If you're a nonprofit, you want your stuff down at number 4. So let's get you the roadmap updated with your personal branding. Also, as a bonus, when you do the yearly with the Champion, we're going to provide some personal posts that you can promote your interview with me in, and we're going to give you a background that's been created for you. Barbara loves the blue brick one. As you can see behind me, I've got the one with the book, and we promote legacy listing month. So there's a few variations. You can choose yours, and that will be personalized for you as a bonus. Another bonus is a autographed copy of the book that we pop in the mail for you. We cover the shipping and all that. That's a $30 value. And also, I want to do a one-on-one 30-minute strategy session with you to find out how can we leverage this together. I need to know what is it you want from this, because if I know who you want to get in front of and what you're passionate about, I will help you put together a cause marketing campaign, marketing your business with a cause in mind. And that's a bonus, a 30-minute session. Also, as a bonus is the cause marketing campaign. So all those flyers that I showed you for all those clients that I was working with before I learned about charitable gifting of real estate, I created this program, sold it for $997 for quite some time. I actually had one-on-one clients that were $3,000-$4,000 a piece, and this was the product that we were working from. Now, this product, we talk about how to find an event, how to pick a nonprofit, because keep in mind, this was back when it was for fundraisers, when you were spending 3 months putting together a fundraiser for 1 or 2 or 3 nonprofits. And now we don't do that as much, because now we have a way to fund them through gifts of real estate, but the principles are the same. How to get out and be seen and be heard, who to talk to, what to say, how to say it. So this is a fabulous fun program that we add in as a bonus for you to review. So once again, this is the $997 version to get these bonuses. You get those 2 months for free. You get all the extra customized marketing and social media pieces, email templates, the yard sign templates, the scripts, the live trainings with me, Q&A. We need role play. And you get those presentations, the 101 presentation, but with the custom upgrade, we'll customize the front slide for you with your image and your logo. So that was Specialist, 97 for the year by midnight tonight. Champion, 97 a month, or $9.97 for the year. That includes all that custom marketing. Normally that's the end of what we're talking about. But right now we have this new collaboration with the community foundations. This starts on Thursday. So this is a time is of the essence thing. So let me share with you what is a community foundation to begin with. Community foundations are the heartbeat of your community, and they serve hundreds or thousands of nonprofits in your community. They are basically the local donor advised fund, because if a donor has $1 million and they put it in a donor advised fund up at Fidelity Charitables will grant that money to any nonprofit that the donor asks them to, but Fidelity Charitables doesn't help them vet. So if the donor says, I want to give, $30,000 a year for the next 10 years to a veteran group, or, an animal rescue, Fidelity Charitable says, well, you got to tell us who to give it to. But the community foundation will help them choose. So community can refer to a state, a region, a demographic. So for example, there's the Community Foundation of the Carolinas. They oversee both North and South Carolina. There are community foundations that are based around a city, like San Diego, or here on the Gulf Coast of Florida, there's the Suncoast Community Foundation. Or it could be a demographic like the Charlotte Jewish Community Foundation or the Black Philanthropic Community Foundation. So it's a demographic of people. And it was explained to me that the community foundation is to the donor what the realtor is to a for sale by owner. Meaning, a for sale by owner is trying to do it all themselves to save time, to save money, because they think they can do it better themselves. But ultimately, when a realtor comes in, they sell it faster for more money without as much of the legal ramification. It's easier and more professional when they have a realtor. Well, it's the same thing here. If a donor's got that $1 million and they're trying to figure out who to give it to, etc., if they work with a community foundation, it's more efficient and effective, and they can watch their money grow in their own community. So community foundation. Now, there are 600 plus all over the country. No matter where you are, there is 1 or 3 or 5 in your area. The Amelia Group is the top 50 community foundations that manage 500 million or more in assets. So they are the biggest community foundations. They are the ones that are most likely taking gifts of real estate. You don't manage 500 million and more through selling $50 raffle tickets. So these people are the best of the best, the top of the top. They already understand real estate. As our contact at the Amelia Group says, they're already drinking the Kool-Aid, is how he puts it. Now, this is an invitation-only group. You can't Google Amelia Group and find them. You won't find them on a website. They have no online presence. They are an invitation-only group of people that are invited into the group when they hit that milestone of money. And actually, my contact told me yesterday that number is probably going to go up, that they have to manage more than that. But the reason that I'm explaining the Amelia Group to you is this. We have our liaison there who I've spent the last few months building relationship with. He's already doing a couple of deals with Realty Gift Fund. He loves what we're doing. He has been trying to find realtors for years to help do gifts of real estate, finding them, etc. And when he and I met, he's a nonprofit looking for realtors. We are realtors looking for nonprofits to help. We decided to come together and create this enhanced training program so that we can introduce you to the Amelia Group. So here's how and why you benefit from this. Warm introduction versus cold calling. Friends, if you start cold calling these community foundations, number one, you won't be in the real agents of change because you can't follow instructions, and you're going to go ruin it for yourself. We all know cold calling is definitely not the best way to win over a relationship. So we're going to do this training over the next 13 weeks. About 2 weeks into it, you're going to get your introduction to your community foundation. If you're in an area that has an Amelia Group, awesome. They already get it. If you're in an area that community foundation isn't in the Amelia Group, congratulations, because now we can say to them, hey, what better way for you to be invited to the Amelia Group than to tap into the 43% of real wealth that's held in real estate? So warm introduction, 87% of your marketplace will choose you over the competition when you are socially responsible. And friends, there is no better way to show up as socially responsible than by collaborating with one of the most respected groups in your community and able to fund them and hundreds of nonprofits through our blessed industry of real estate. With what we're doing here, we're talking about creating impact and having influence right away. Instead of going out and trying to talk to this nonprofit and figure it out over there. And look, we still want you to talk to all the nonprofits. We still want you to go bring this to, the Rotary Club and to go to the real estate investor groups, etc. But we're going to put you in touch with the people that grant tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to hundreds and thousands of nonprofits a year in your community. That, my friend, is influence and impact. And this is going to help give you the resources you need and the relationships to create that revenue. And ultimately what that means is make money, making a difference. So here's what it looks like to be a part of the Community Foundation collaboration. First, this is for realtors only. Now, I've got 2 nonprofit friends who are part of this collaboration because they just want to learn about community foundations. They do want to meet the community foundations. They want to meet and mingle and work with these realtors and financial advisors at this high level. So if you're not a realtor, you can talk to me about qualifying and coming in. I just want you to know the reason this is for realtors is because our contact at the Amelia Group said, Cammie, my colleagues that manage 500 million and more want more gifts of real estate, and we want to meet trained realtors. And so to honor what we're doing, that's why this is for realtors. So you become a charitable real estate specialist for $97. You have to do the $997 champion upgrade with this because you need to have the custom landing page. You need to have access to all that legacy launchpad training, mindset, language, scripting. Got to get that as a foundation from the champion package. And we got to do that with the $997 champion upgrade. So once you've done these 2 things, the last thing is the Community Foundation collaboration. And I know this is a lot, but time is of the essence. And look, if this isn't for you to go this far, then just at least become a specialist while it's $97 and while you'll be locked in for lifetime at $97 a year to renew. And if you want help with the lead generation, at least become a champion. But if you see the benefit and what I'm talking about here, this is what it entails. So we're going to start on Thursday this week at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going to come together and we're going to meet and mingle and talk about all the weeks and what we're doing and get it all on our calendar and make sure that our custom marketing is getting started. You'll meet the team that will be putting your logo and your headshot on everything. So it starts on Thursday. Saturday, this week, this Saturday and next Saturday, we're having a 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern gathering, 3 hours each Saturday to get you trained up. So there needs to be commitment on your part of the time, okay? And look, I can't expect you to be at every Thursday for 13 weeks. But what I can say to you is there is more on the line here than you and your business. There is the Amelia Group and our contact there and his reputation. There is the reputation of the Real Agents of Change. And there is the millions of people, veterans, animals, children, people being human trafficked, universities, churches that are counting on us to show up. And if that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Just start at one of the other levels. So we're going to make a warm introduction for you to your local community foundation. List the Legacy Listing Month is during this campaign. So we're going to provide to you some marketing tools to list a legacy listing for that month. We're going to give a couple of things to the specialists just because we want all of you out promoting it. But CFC folks are going to get preferential treatment. Now, let me share with you some of our expert guests. I had somebody from the group say, $400 to make an introduction? No, there's a lot more to this. So check out these experts that you're going to learn from. It took me 3 years to pull together. Jim Wooten. This man for 25 years has been doing it the hard way. He knows how to reach out to a commercial property owner who has no intention of helping the Church of the Veterans. And he'll reach out to them and he'll offer the suggestion that they donate $3 million out of the $8 million asking price. And 1 out of 3 times they do it. He's going to teach us how to do that. Dr. Russell James. This program is worth meeting Dr. Russell James and building that relationship. This man is brilliant. He can teach you about the language, the Socratic surveys that he puts together, the books that he's written. We're going to have him come in, and you guys, by then, by March 30th, you'll already have tons of questions, and we're going to have you supply questions that he can answer in real time. This is a must. Dan Klatt with us today, the Church Guy Network. He is the foremost authority on helping to buy and sell churches. He has his own platform for evaluating churches based on how many people come, and to services, like who are part of the parishioners. He has a wealth of information, and he's creating a network of realtors all over the country who have to qualify. They need to be faith-based and lots of other things, but you want to meet him and hear what he has to say, because when you're going to meet with these community foundations and you can talk intelligently about all these things, man, oh man. All right, Les Winston, Endow American Network Foundation. He has a radio show in Miami. They actually saw our rig pulling through Miami and called us and asked us if we wanted to be on the show. He teaches that before the money goes to the nonprofit world, whether it comes from real estate or stocks or businesses or whatever, he teaches people how to create an endowment for themselves and their family so they can earn income until they die and then leave the money to the nonprofit world. So there's so many options. There's so many ways of learning how this works. Keith Eichley is the one who created Beyond Living. You want to hear several different ways that the nonprofit world can get funded through real estate. Jeff Albee is the president of the Commercial Board of Realtors in LA, and he is going to be speaking with us. In other words, we have got a lot of experts coming together to help us learn what to do next. So this screen is going to tie it all together for you. And Alan, if you want to put any of these links in the chat so people can copy and paste, etc. Okay, first, go to therock.com/Beyond Living to get the $97 specialist package. It locks you into $97 a year for life to maintain your specialist certification. Number two, go to this link, therock.com/champions, where you get the $997 package, not the $97 package, which you can do that if you don't want to do the CFC. But if you want to play with us, you got to have all the custom stuff. Number three, go to therock.com/store and scroll down to the Community Foundation collaboration for $397. Number four, text me the city that is your main marketplace, and we won't market to it anymore. We cannot guarantee that there won't be others from your city or marketplace in this collaboration or becoming a specialist. And friends, you don't want to be the only one. You want to have people that you can collaborate with. You need more feelers out in the world, teaching and telling and bringing eyeballs to what we're doing. So we won't guarantee a marketplace, but we will stop marketing in if you're in Dallas, then we won't market to Dallas that we're looking for specialists. We won't, that we're looking for people to introduce to the Community Foundation. So I need to know where you're at. And so it's a total of $14.91 to do this whole program with us. It should be $5,000, and I could put up all the fancy signs and mark it down from $10,000 to $5,000 to $14.91. But no, just know that if this is an amount that is a problem, this just isn't the program for you. It just isn't. We're looking for people that are seasoned, that are full-time, that are community focused, that are willing, ready, and able to make introductions and be introduced and step up and put out press releases and be seen and be heard and help people by the millions of dollars and get paid to do it. If that aligns with you, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You can do one of the smaller packages. So on that note, it is 2:34. You guys have been super patient with your time. I am going to stay and see if you have a question or two. And I always find that there are people who want to send me a private message and talk about something privately. So Alan, if you could please put my phone number and email again, you're welcome to do that as well. Questions? And by the way, if you're already a champion, awesome. It's just $397 for you for the extra marketing and the 13 weeks of training.
You should probably know, Cammie, that you don't get a lot of questions because you cover the material so well. You really do.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you for saying so. I appreciate that. Maybe I should give less to get more questions. I don't know, but it is a pretty thorough class and we love teaching it. And we have people like Sam Silver has been here, oh gosh, 15 times or so in the last year, maybe more. Bo's been on here every time in the last 4 months since we met. Okay, guys, last call for questions. If not, we're going to let you go. And for those of you who are really taking this to the next level, we'll see you on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Cammy, how long is
Three.
that class?
On Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday's just an hour. It's just a Zoom to make sure everybody's got the dates on their calendar. So just to be clear, Thursday at 5 p.m. and then Saturday the 21st and Saturday the 28th, we're going to take a deep dive together from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on both of those Saturdays. And after that, it's just every Thursday until the end of April that we'll be bringing in the guest experts. Actually, there's a few that I didn't even mention. Karen, Liz Albert is going to be one of our experts teaching us about Facebook and how to show up on Facebook. We're going to have an expert come in and talk about press releases. We have a resource to do press releases for $60 a piece to go out to 100 places on the internet, and you can even get a Yahoo Finance article written about you and published for $3.99 now. That is something everybody on here should do. When you have that, and you can put that in front of people, it's huge credibility. Bo, you got any questions for me? You've been here enough, you could teach it.
No, not really. Really good stuff. I mean, this collaboration thing has me intrigued, so I gotta talk to you about that. Are the excuse me, are the classes going to be recorded at all?
Oh, sure. Not only are they going to be recorded, but this will be an evergreen product for people to purchase later. So this first round ends at the end of April. We're going to start another group. We'll probably start marketing it in April to bring another group in May. And between the two classes getting recorded, we'll create an evergreen product that, you know, we can sell 24/7. This is a great product for everyone to get the scripts and just get the mindset and understand what community foundations are and just all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. First couple of served.
So John's asking, is the $397 a monthly or one time? It's one time, John. Just one time. The $397 is to be a part of the CFC, the Community Foundation Collaboration. It's the 13-week program and the extra custom marketing. And by the way, that also includes sending all of you. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? No, let me turn off my background. I'm going to show you what else it includes. I'm going to be mailing to everyone 2 of these signs. Because when you think about it, it says, donate real estate, you choose the charity and we'll do the rest. This sign can go in the reception area of the Community Foundation. It can go in your real estate office. It's going to come like this, but you can have your logo or the Community Foundation put up in the corner. So the $397 covers receiving the first 2 signs of that as well. All right, guys, we are going to hop on over to Orlando and visit with some friends of Alan's. So we're going to go, but you've got my number. Let me know if you have any desire to move forward. Great class. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.